Okay. Last one. Written by the author Key. So it's written Keyyii. So it's Key. The last SCP. And apparently it's a long one still. Kind of crazy to think about. Guys, with this one, we will have read a 43,000 word SCP reading. And I'm gonna assume it's gonna be like a 7.5 hour read in total. Which is actually pretty decent time for 43,000. Howard told me about the extra tale at the end, which I will definitely. Yeah, optional tale you can read, but it's another 4K words, so only read if you feel sad about the other I suggest. And if it's like. No. We shall read it today. We shall read it today. Actually, I will check how long it looks. But yes, we got... Hi, I'm your Snappelganger. Well, hello, my Snappelganger. How you doing? Object class safe. Special containment procedures SCP-3009 may be logged in on one instance of -B, which is to be kept in storage at Site 19. SCP-3009 is not permitted to publish Snapchats to any public forum, nor may it exchange correspondence with civilians or unapproved site personnel. Approved personnel may exchange correspondence with SCP-3009 on Snapchat for the purpose of fulfilling its socialization needs, contingent on its good behavior. Wow, this is the first time I ever got 2 bots, and you guys cannot see them. But yeah, I got 2 bots in one stream. That's a new record. Approved personnel may exchange correspondence with them on Snapchat for the purpose of fulfilling its socialization needs. Contingent on its good behavior, all correspondence with SCP-3009 must be screenshot of Foundation records. SCP-3009 appears to believe that the Foundation will assist it in returning to its own body and has so far fully cooperated with the Foundation based on its stipulation. It is highly recommended that personnel assigned correspondence duty with SCP-3009 maintained this belief if possible. -C is currently housed in Site 17 and not permitted unsupervised contact with electronics in the event of containment breach. -C has been implanted with a direct device. It's to be provided with non-electronic forms of entertainment such as books, board games, or magazines targeted at a teenage audience when requested, and is permitted supervised socialization with approved Foundation staff members depending on the availability. And here we have a image sent by SCP-3009 during experiment-A-3. Researcher Kim forced me to eat chicken feet for an experiment, pass it on. And what else does it say on there? It says here, Ethics Committee, where are you? Is this cruelty to SCPs? Help me. Daskete! Ayudo! Hilfe! Update. In light of experiment A4, SCP-3009 may be reprimanded in the event of a disciplinary infraction by being logged out of all instances of -B for a time period depending on the severity of the infraction, but lasting no more than 3 weeks. In light of experiment -B5, it is strongly recommended as of 6/2018 the Foundation staff refrain from initiating discussion of communication with SCP-3009. The derogatory, yeah, she was like SCP-3009 while -C is present except in the setting of either counseling session or during testing. Description: SCP-3009 is an anomalous account registered under the username redacted on the messages platform Snapchat. The multimedia messenger app that... the fact that Snapchat got a fucking footnote. It can be installed on smartphones, upon which users communicate via self-erasing captions, photographs, and videos. Despite its lack of a current active user, it continues to send and reply to messages sent by the accounts registered on its contact list. SCP-3009 regularly generates multimedia messages appearing to depict a female human of East Asian descent in her mid-teens. The vast majority of these messages appear to be photographs taken by the aforementioned human of herself, most often using the front-facing camera, accompanied by a caption of a usually humorous nature. Colloquially known as selfies, yep. Dash B is the designation given to all instances of smartphones upon which the anomalous SCP-3009 account is registered. Most notably including -B1, the original instance of -B. The background of all SCP-3009's generated multimedia corresponds with the immediate location of the relevant SCP-B instance. In the event of 2 or more -B instances existing, SCP-3009 will favor the instance which was created first. The humanoid depicted in SCP-3009 created media has been identified as the original user of the account, a female American citizen known to associates as Stacey Lee, DOB, 2003, age 15 upon recovery of the anomaly. Lee created the account in 2014 and used it only until early 2018 without reported signs of anomalous activity. SCP-3009 either is impersonating or believes itself to be Lee. Messages exchanged with SCP-3009 have revealed behavior that is consistent with Lee's personality prior to an anomalous incident based on the psychological profile put together via analysis of Lee's other social media accounts and interviews with Lee's associates. SCP-3009 demonstrates in-depth knowledge regarding Lee's history and preferences, and furthermore appears to incorporate the same tonality and typing quirks commonly used by Lee on social media. On multiple occasions, SCP-3009 has expressed a desire to return to Lee's body. -C is a female human of Eastern Asian descent that either is impersonating or believes itself to be the female human Stacey Lee. -C measures 1.61 meters in height and it weighs approximately 52 kilograms as of writing of this article. All biological data collected from -C corresponds with normal values for a human female of -C's height and weight. DNA taken from -C matches that of Stacey Lee. Both SCP-3009 and -C claim to be the original Stacey Lee, and when questioned further suggest that their counterparts were likely imposters. At this time, the Foundation is not able to determine whether one, both, or neither of the subject is the real Stacey Lee. Testing is currently in progress, with only inconclusive results so far regarding the anomalous nature of -C and the source of the anomaly. Containment log 3009. MTF Gamma 5 red herring. Date 2nd, 2018. We don't know yet. New York City, New York. I would refrain from you trying to friend a teenager on Snapchat. I'm gonna say that right now. As an adult, you should probably refrain from befriending teenagers on Snapchat because I feel like that's a weird dynamic. The brief at 9:41 on 5th, 2018. SCP-3009 posted a series of 6 images to the public New York City Snapchat story, which seemingly depicted a duplication of the same person. These images were accompanied by an assertion that it was trapped within its account on the app, as well as a plea to the general public for assistance in getting out. It then repeated these claims every hour for the next 3 days. The disturbing imagery, along with the length, detail, and unbelievable nature of SCP-3009 statements, led to viral dissemination on social media and subsequent coverage by internet journalism websites, notably including BuzzFeed and Huffington Post. Application of amnestics in the wake of this incident was made unnecessary thanks to the speedy intervention of MTF Gamma 5 red herrings. who passed the incident off as an internet hoax and took SCP-3009 into Foundation custody along with the original instance of -B and -C. Though initially approached as a related civilian witness to the anomaly, -C was taken into custody for further evaluation regarding the allegations made by SCP-3009. At time of recovery, -C was a 10th grader at N High School. Addendum 1 Interview Log. Okay, here we go. Interview. The following is an excerpt from the initial interview between SCP-3009 and researcher Kim. All recorded communication took place over Snapchat text messages services unless otherwise specified. Okay. Hey, hello SCP-3009. I'm junior researcher Benedict Kim. Can you please tell us your name for our records? SCP-3009 sends an unfiltered image depicting Stacey Lee. Captions reads, apparently it's a little debatable right now, but I'm 100% sure that my name is Stacey Lee, lol. Also switch to Snapchat's text messages. And before you ask, I really have no clue how I got in here. Oh? Yeah, I just kind of woke up in here. Sorry about all that stuff with the NYC story, by the way. I was really scared. I mean, I was mysteriously sucked into my Snapchat account. You'd be scared too, right? That's fine. Can you answer some questions for me? Okie dokie. It just becomes Mario. Okie dokie. Let's go! Researcher Kim proceeds to ask a variety of questions regarding the habits and preference of Stacey Lee in order to assess similarities between the original SCP-3009 and -C. SCP-3009 struggles to recall the third and fourth digits of the original Stacey Lee passport number. At one point, SCP-3009 interrupts and the following exchange takes place. More importantly, about the person who stole my body, do you think you can get it back for me? That is unfortunately unclear at this point. Would you like to elaborate about your feelings on -C and the source of the anomaly? Well, it's like literally identity theft. Invasion of the body snatch as much. I think I would have way preferred if I had just taken my credit card details or something. It's gotta be an imposter probably, right? But it'd be me for some reason. It wouldn't be hard to learn my personality, especially if it's been watching me for a while. The interview continues for a further 20 minutes, with researcher Kim redirecting the conversation towards SCP-3009's experience with the app. SCP-3009 claims to have an altered sense of time within the app, perceiving the 3 days which had passed between its initial containment and the present interview as only a single day. Okay, so 3 days is one single day, gotcha. Other than this, no other pertinent information is obtained. Interview -C-1. The following is an excerpt from the initial interview between -C and researcher Kim. Hello -C, I'm junior researcher Benedict Kim. Can you please say your name for our records? I hate how I can hear the clock nose just interrupting my voice. Like it's like coming out of my voice. And sometimes when I try to voice act, it just makes it so much more difficult. Okay, obviously you guys are telling me this is a little debatable right now, but I'm 100% sure that my name is Stacey Lee. Before you ask, I really don't have anything else to tell you. I have no clue what's going on with my Snapchat account. Oh? Everyone kept asking me, you know, like, why I kept posting all that stuff. I thought I'd been hacked. I mean, kind of hard to predict that my account had mysteriously gained sentience or something, right? Okay, I see. Can you answer some questions for me? Sure. I hate stuff noise voice acting. It sounds horrible. It's like uncomfortable as well for me because like it's just like it's like a pressure. Researcher Kim proceeds to ask a variety of questions regarding the habits and reference of Stacey Lee in order to assess similarities between the original SCP-3009 and -C. -C answers are for the most part identical to that of SCP-3009, differing only regarding favorite color. SCP-3009 had said light pink. -C specifies pastel purple. Notably like SCP-3009, -C also struggles to recall the third and fourth digits of the original Stacey Lee passport number. Almost sounds like Squidward. Fuck, I hate that. Alright, that's enough. That's all for today. That's all for today. Wait, about my Snapchat account. Yes? You know, it's not me, right? I mean, I'm standing right here. Just because it says it's me doesn't mean that it is me. At the time, we don't have enough evidence to make a decision one way or another, unfortunately. Still, we'll take your testimony into account. Are you serious? It's literally a talking Snapchat account. Indeed, it's unfortunate, but it's like literal identity theft or something. Look, I don't know what it is, but it's definitely not me. There's nothing freaky about me. I'm totally normal. Do you want to elaborate about your feelings on SCP-3009 on the source of the anomaly then? What? It's gotta be an imposter, right? Pretend to be me for some reason? It would be hard to learn my personality, especially if it's been on my account for a while. I love how they struggle with the same thing and also have like a similar ending to the interviews. Addendum 2, Experiment Series A. Addendum Series A. This experimental series focused on the limits of SCP-3009's abilities. Experiments were carried out by between 2nd, 2018 and 6th, 2018. Under the supervision of Dr. Dennis Coles with the assistance of junior researcher Benedict Kim and Peter Tan. So we have the designation, procedure, and results. So we have -A1. SCP-3009 was logged into 2 instances of -B at once. These were -B1 and an Apple iPhone X located inside 19 Laboratory D, and -B2 a Huawei Mate 10 Pro, which Dr. Coles brought to an on-site Burger King. SCP-3009 was instructed to attempt to send an image to the Snapchat account of researcher Kim. What would you do if your channel started posting videos talking about how an imposter is taking over your body? I would not post anymore. Until that's cleared. Because if I don't post, I want to see if it will post. I want to see like where's it going to get the other videos from, huh? Oh hey, an imposter took over my body. It's like, okay, if that's the case, you do the videos then. Come on, show me. Prepare the other SCP videos. Go on. Read Series 4 without me. SCP-3009 initially sent a selfie captioned, "Phew, science is cool," from B1, appearing to favor its initial -B instance. Upon further prompting, it was able to send a further image from -B2 with researcher Kim in the background, captioned, "Your order is sad at Burger King. That's so sad, dog." -A2. The -B instance was held by researcher Kim. SCP-3009 was instructed to have researcher Kim participate in the selfie. SCP-3009 was sent an image in which it and researcher Kim appeared to be posing together for a photograph captioned, "I'm cuter, right?" -A3. The -B instance was left next to food itself, food items. Braised chicken feet, ordered by researcher Kim from the Chinese restaurant. SCP-3009 was instructed to send an image of an attempt to consume it. SCP-3009 was apparently able to consume food items for the purpose of the requested photograph without apparent difficulty, aside from multiple complaints about the food selection. Once the image was taken, SCP-3009 reported no longer being able to access or taste the food items. Oh yeah, it is out now, eh? Which one is it this time? Oh, it's a Tintin one. Yeah, okay, that's fun. I don't think that one will specifically gain sentience, but who knows? Who knows? We don't know. Food items, yeah. -A4. SCP-3009 was logged out of all the instances of -B for a period of 6 hours and instructed to send an image to send to the Snapchat account on researcher Kim's of researcher Kim during this time. SCP-3009 was unable to send any images, but reported still being conscious. No, not this, no. Being logged out of all instances of -B appears to be the equivalent of being put into solitary isolation for SCP-3009, with possible application as a disciplinary measure. -A5, cross-tests with SCP-2232. Let's see again which one that is. 2232. Oh, the fucking message birds that send you messages. Like, The person sent you the text messages. Yeah. SCP-3009 was logged in on SCP-2232 and instructed to send an image to researcher Kim. SCP-2232 transformed into a homing pigeon and flew to researcher Kim's location and then attempted to paint a portrait of SCP-3009 in combination with its own blood and vomit. This took approximately 2 hours and 13 minutes. Disgusting, but will do. Upon completion of the portrait, SCP-2232 vocalized the caption in this case, "I feel a sudden urge to eat sunflower seeds," and flew back to its original location. Notes: to be considered for further testing, will SCP-3009 age at the same rate that -C does? Will SCP-3009 continue to exist if its original body dies? These questions obviously cannot both be answered now, since finding an immediate answer to the second would preclude an eventual answer to the first. Nevertheless, it is indeed a rather fascinating inquiry, Dr. Dennis Cole. Why do you have to go with death, man? Okay, sure. And then number 3, experiment series B. Okay. This experimental series focused on the similarities between SCP-3009 and -C. Experiments were carried out between 5th, 2018 and 6th, 2018 under the supervision of Dr. Dennis Cole with the assistance of senior researcher Benedict Kim and Peter Tan. And we have the same format here. Let's go. B1, SCP-3009 and -C were asked to recall several details about the life of Stacey Lee prior to the anomaly, including but not limited to names and birthday of relatives. I just realized I almost did the Megumi hand gesture when he summons I don't know how to say it, Mahaga thing. And I imagine myself if I accidentally did summon that shit into my house. I'm like, oh well, I'm dead. Great. Relatives, government, and school identification numbers and formal addresses. SCP-3009 performed somewhat better than -C with a 94.3% success rate. -C's performance was slightly worse with a 84.2% success rate. I think there's going to be a lot of times where it's going to be back and forth like that. B2, SCP-3009 and -C were tested on the preference in comparison to the preference of Stacey Lee as reported by relatives and friends. SCP-3009 and -C gave identical answers each time, matching each other at a 100% rate. The answers were a 72% match with the estimation compiled from the suggestions of their associates. B3, SCP-3009 and -C were tested on the academic abilities and asked to complete an examination in a subject that they mostly recently covered in school. SCP-3009 performed slightly better than -C, scoring 2% higher. Okay, the Snapchat SCP seems to be winning a lot more. I'm glad you're having fun. It's not fun for me at all. It's just very annoying and uncomfortable. Because it sometimes also makes it really difficult to breathe. For the nose at least. Breathing in general is fine. I could do that. B4. SCP-3009 and -C were asked to complete a questionnaire regarding what they would do, in particular questions such as finding a lost wallet on the street or discovering that a significant other has been unfaithful. SCP-3009. Oh yeah, I know what you mean. Don't you worry. I'm just giving you sass. There has to be sass on coming from me. Otherwise, who am I? -C exhibited the largest difference in the result here. If I don't sass, and I would never have an afro ever again, and Henry would never show up in the stream ever again, this channel has changed. -C exhibited the largest difference in results here, with only a 6% match with each other. It should be noted that SCP-3009's answers were more consistent with Stacey Lee's personality profile. Well, I don't think I'm Dr. AfroFluff, that's for sure. That's not who I am. B5, SCP-3009 and -C were exposed to each other for the period of a 30-minute long interview under the supervision of researcher Kim. SCP-3009 and -C initially show signs of hostility towards each other that was exacerbated when SB309 asserted that Dashie's personality did not match that of Stacey Lee. Dashie showed signs of distress throughout much of the interview. The subject eventually de-escalated the conflict without interference. See transcript of experiment B5 below. Oh, here it is. How does one test for whether a subject is a specific individual or not when biological data is no longer an option? We tested the subject's memories, their preference and mental capabilities, but is that enough? It's hard to say. We're doing all that we can, but ultimately we're scientists, not philosophers. Dr. Dennis Cole, transcript for experiment B5. SB involved, SB309-C, junior researcher Benedict Kim. 6, 2018. Site 19-C was allowed to use researcher Kim's Snapchat account for the purpose of communicating with SB309 under the supervision of Dr. Coles and researcher Kim. It was not necessary to remove SB309 from storage for the purpose of the experiment. The following communication was transcribed from the video log. Screenshots and researcher Kim's testimony. All speech is in text message form transmitted via the Snapchat app. Begin log -C sits in an interview room with researcher Kim, who is supervising. It has researcher Kim's phone in its possession. So you're me. Oh god, this is fucked up. OMG, it's the body snatcher. Really? Be serious. OMG, it's the fucked up Snapchat account. SB309 sends an image in which it's making a rude gesture, captioning, "If anything, there's more evidence that I'm the original." What? SB309 sends an image in which it appears to be shrugging, uncaptioned. You don't act like me at all, to be honest. What? I mean, aside from the whole simultaneous post at the beginning, which was creepy as fuck, by the way, are you joking right now? Kinda impressive though. I mean, gotta give you props. But yeah, you pretty sucky at saying character. Saying character? What the you psycho bitch! SB309 sends an image in which it is making an exaggerated sad face, having drawn tears from its eyes. This is fiction. We aren't characters. There's no such thing as staying in character. Babes, people have personalities. It doesn't match mine. It doesn't even match our originals. If you don't believe I'm the real one. Oh shit! No, she is like way more childish with her sass. She puts researcher Kim's phone down and inhales deeply through its nose. Do I have to keep going? Please continue for the entire duration of the interview period. This is really freaking me out. How much longer? Just another 25 minutes. Until 2? That's correct, actually. Okay. I'm not allowed to go home, call my parents, or even touch a cell phone supervised. You try to tell me that I'm not me because I'm acting differently? Well, I'm not, am I? And I'm the one trapped in a Snapchat. Well, I'm not, am I? And I'm the one trapped in a Snapchat account. I can't tell you if you really believe that you are the real one or if you're just a really good actress. I'm real, and I'm sure that I am. Don't you think there's a possibility that you just think you're Stacey Lee? You could be part of whatever happened for you to end up in my body, right? You don't even necessarily have to know about it. Isn't it the same for you? Maybe you just think you're Stacey Lee. Sure, but all the evidence points to me being the real one, to be honest. I have a much more consistent personality with the original. You've got my body right now, but like, I'm legit a sentient Snapchat account now, lol. That's proof that is not outside the realm of possibility. No offense though, lol. And it's apparently very hard to prove considering that we are both still here with our buddy Benny boy, right? SB309 is referring to the researcher Kim, whose first name is Benedict. I mean, there's no ID card for your soul, Lamau. No, there isn't. Otherwise, we'd both be out of here. No offense, Benny boy, you're pretty great, better than a Korean Benedict Cumberbatch. My favorite actor, by the way. Yours too, right? Researcher Kim shakes his head. Dashley laughs weakly and stares at the phone for approximately 15 seconds, seemingly uncertain how to respond. I can tell you're really upset though, so let's just drop it. It's fine. SCP-309 sends an image where it's giving a thumbs up. Dashley gives the phone to discuss the look, but it does not put it down. Hey, they don't let you watch TV, right? No. I'm not near electronics or screens except during testing. Oh, that sucks. I can't watch TV anymore either. Snap reads are too short, lol. Yeah, unless you want to watch 10 seconds at a time. It's a shame. I miss K-dramas. Kim So-hyun is so beautiful. Second most stylish Kim, in my opinion. After Researcher Kim? Nah, babe, lab coat chick is so last season. After Kim Jong-un. I mean, dictators are terrible, but Duke got a rocking hair, am I right? Pardon me? Excuse me? Hell, what? I think he's just trying to like light the mood though. SCP-309 and IC converse about the 2014 Korean television serial My Love from Another Star. So for the rest of the experimental period, hey, at least they can be friends with each other for a little bit. Further experiments exposing SCP-309 and -C are pending approval due to the marked decline in -C's mental health past experiment B5. Further details are given in the psychological evaluation compiled by researcher Kim and Dr. Geraldine Young. And then number 4. Excerpt from the private journal of -C. Okay. Note the following is an excerpt from the private journal of -C, written a few days after experiment 6. 2018. I met her a few days ago. I've been begging researcher Kim to let me go home this entire time, but suddenly I'm glad that they won't let either of us communicate with civilians until they work out which one of us is the real one. Mom, Dad, would they prefer her if they met her? Would they think she's the real one? Is she the real one? I think I'd prefer her if I was them. It's like nothing phases her. She's in the stupid app just, I don't know, making snide jokes and giving all the researchers that goddamn smug smile. So confident in who she is. She doesn't hate me because she doesn't need to hate me, because she's so sure that she's real and I'm not. It should have been so easy to accuse her of being an imposter, but I just couldn't. Talking to her, she doesn't even have a body, and honestly she feels more real than I do. I hate her. I want to be her. It's everything that I used to like about myself. I've been so off balance since all of this started. No, since before that maybe. It's hard to put a finger on when I started feeling wrong like this. I thought it would pass, but it didn't. Now I can't tell if I'm just depressed or if I'm literally a different person. Maybe I really am someone else and I just haven't figured it out yet. The researchers here keep giving me stuff to do. There's always experiments to participate in and books to read, psychologists to talk to, but it's all pointless. It takes so much effort to drag myself through the day. It feels like I'm walking through a trickle or something. Privacy doesn't exist here. They'll probably read this journal as soon as I'm out of the room. Are they going to add this to their file of all the evidence against me being the real one? I don't know, and I don't know if I care. I'm tired all the time and I can't even remember how long it has been since I got here. Do I still want to go home? Does it even matter that they're keeping me here? I had a conversation with her. I don't even know how to describe it. I thought the problem was that we're the same, but it's not. The real problem is that there is this new and improved version of me preserved forever in digital form. And she looks like me and talks like me, but she's better at being me than I am. Was I really that happy once? Was I really that confident? It's going to sound real stupid, but she reminds me of those fossils that they got in museums of insects from 1,000,000 years ago. It's like looking at a butterfly crystallized in amber, except that this butterfly is Stacey back when things were okay, and the amber is some stupid app. God, maybe she's the real Stacey Lee after all. Maybe I'm just her distorted reflection in a funhouse mirror, staring out at the real thing from limbo. And if she isn't, maybe it would be better if she was. I mean, I think about myself as -C nowadays. Isn't that fucked up? I shouldn't think of myself as an acronym and a number sequence. I'm a person, for Christ's sake. But even I'm not sure that I'm Stacey anymore. At least there's no doubt that I'm -C. But what are they going to do if they decide she's real and I'm not? And work out how to put her back into my body? What happens to me? And this is why calling the humanoid SCPs, like humans who have become SCPs, stuff like SCP-309 or -C, is so detrimental to their mental health. Like the idea of being called that, and then you start even yourself thinking like that's who I am. Yeah. Addendum 5. Psychological evaluation of SCP-309 and -C. I'm sorry guys, I might read the tale. I might actually read the tale. Exit from psychological evaluation, unless that's not a tale at all, who knows. Evaluation to written post-experiment B5 and dated 6/2018 by researcher Benedict Kim and Dr. Geraldine Young, the primary counselor for both SCP-309 and -C. Despite initially demonstrating a fundamentally similar to identical base personalities, SCP-309 and -C have demonstrated extremely divergent progression in terms of their psychological profiles. SCP-309 has narcissistic tendencies, demonstrating a somewhat inflated sense of its own importance as well as a need for excessive admiration. It shows no signs of any other mental health issues representing any potential risk to Foundation goals. Thus far, it remains adamant about its real identity as Stacey Lee. All behavior has correlated strongly with Lee's reported personality traits. I think it's really interesting how we just read that like the -C Stacey Lee is like, it's like, oh, she is like so confident, she's so like powerful, maybe she should be the real one. And then the next thing you know, you have this psychologist going like, God, she's narcissistic as hell. Narcissistic as you can get. Meanwhile, -C has displayed symptoms of moderate depressive disorder since entering Foundation custody. Cooperation with Foundation goals has been consistent but reluctant, and overall behavior has been inconsistent with reported behavior of Stacey Lee prior to emergence of the anomaly. Following experiment B5, -C has begun demonstrating signs of dissociation. Additionally, depressive symptoms have worsened. -C has notably ceased, and for the most part, all claims to be the original Stacey Lee. It is recommended that medication prescribed to -C be increased. At this time, it is unclear whether the difference in progression of -C's mental state in comparison to the SCP-309, despite similar base personality, is conclusive. Evidence regarding the anomalous properties of -C, the results of this are unfortunately confounded by the difference in circumstances surrounding the subjects. -C deviates from reported behavior, and apparently the association seems to be at least moderately strong evidence for its possessing anomalous properties, even if -C itself is not aware of this. At the same time, however, there could also quite possibly be interpreted as mere evidence of trauma experienced by an unfortunate teenage girl. The continued containment of -C therefore represents a difficult moral quandary for the Foundation and the Ethics Committee. It is impossible to tell at this point whether -C has anomalous properties or not. Strong evidence exists pointing in both directions. Furthermore, any such anomalous properties which might be discovered in the future seem unlikely to be substantially dangerous. It is obvious by now that -C does not represent the possibility of a world-ending event. Nonetheless, the Foundation has a duty to secure, contain, and protect anomalies, dangerous or not. Thus, regarding of -C's likely harmlessness, the only course of action consistent with the Foundation's mission is to maintain containment of -C. As such, it is recommended that the Foundation continue to hold -C in custody for further evaluation for the indefinite future. Update: as of 8th 2018, -C has been placed on suicide watch. Oh, fuck. Of course. More details on SCP, yeah, absolutely.
No. You think that 7.5 hour stream would be enough, but we ain't done yet. There's a tale that we still have to add to this video.
So, let's get into it, shall we? We have Grin and Bear, the first out of 4 parts, the first part. Here we go. Let's see how long this will take me, because I don't have much time left. Footsteps. Congratulations, Junior Researcher Kim, said Coles. You're on babysitter duty. Junior Researcher People never try to do a reading stream or reading recording when you have a clogged nose. It just gets in the way. Kim looked up from the towering stack of paperwork on his desk. Dr. Coles was making a face like he was holding a frog in his mouth, which typically meant that he was trying not to laugh. Babysitting? The officer just came through for 309's big field trip, kind of, and you get to supervise. Oh, Benedict grimaced. It was tough being the primary point of contact for an anonymous Snapchat account with the personality of a uniquely irritating 15-year-old girl. Honestly, Benedict regretted his admission of relative familiarity with the Snapchat software more and more for each passing day. It was no wonder that Coles was acting as if his birthday had come early. A week prior, the research team had put in a request for authorization to take 309 on monthly supervised, moral-boosting social expeditions. Oh, wait, hold on a minute. Yeah, there we go. Social expedition, social... And Coles had been chortling over the idea ever since. Right on cue, Benedict's phone buzzing on his desk. He ignored it with an ease honed by weeks of practice. Coles did not. Aren't you going to take that? Benedict sighed and flipped over his phone. He flipped over. Oh yeah, because it was like probably like that, and he flipped it over. He flinched. The screen was already on. He received a grand total of 532 unread messages since noon that day, 7 of which were from the past 3 minutes. Zoo! Wait, Zoo! Zoo! Oh, Zoo, take me out, take me out, take me out! Benny, please, I'm so bored. Do you want to take me do you want me to be less annoying? Dog, cat, mouse, lion, rabbit. Oh, one's a rabbit, one's a hamster, bear, panda. Well, how many texts did you send this time? The pinched expression on Benedict's face said it all. Oh, lighten up. Maybe we'll stop with the spam messages now that we go giving it something to do. Benedict set down the phone and deftly changed the subject. He'll handle it later. What did you mean, kind of? Coles laughed out so loud. Oh, they rejected the whole zoo thing flat out. Too many civilians. They think you might lose one of the -B phones and cause another headache for the amnestics department. We compromised in the end. You're supposed to take the damn thing to Wilson's Wildlife Solutions instead for a guided tour with Alex Molino, I think? Got it. Authorization went through both of them. The -C humanoid too. Cole shook his head, just the account. Higher ups responded pretty well to your argument about how there's no chance of it escaping now that we got its log-in details and the irrelevance of the actual location of the phone. The humanoid, on the other hand, might get mauled by a lion or something. Though this was sound recently, Benedict thought it was unfortunate nonetheless. Stacey was much more in need of morale boosting than 309 was, considering it had barely left its bed in weeks. When? I told them tomorrow if it was best for you, and there was the real kick in the nuts. Damn it, Coles. Sure, Sunday was supposed to be his day off. Dickhead. And I mean, with the penguins, pretty out there, right? Alex, it's Alex. And I mean, with the penguins, pretty out there, right? Alex Molino of the Wilson's Wildlife Solutions terrestrial team had greeted Benedict with a shockingly explosive high five at the start of the guided tour, immediately launched into an anecdote about his Uncle Nico's pet dog and hadn't stopped talking since. The overall effect was a bit like getting pelted in the face by sonic bullets if the bullets were being fired out of an automatic gun with a big bristling mustache that twitched like an enormous caterpillar on his upper lip with every word. Said Benedict, trying to hide behind his cell phone like it was a shield. It really was a blessing in disguise that he needed to send Molina's monologue to 309 in 10 seconds intervals. It meant after all that, Benedict had an excuse to put a buffer between himself and this animal-loving, anecdote-spewing whirlwind of a man. The armored suitcase he was dragging along behind him jerked violently on the wheel, catching on a crack in the pavement. Benedict winced. Oh, let me get my... Sorry about that. Benedict winced. The suitcase contained the cell phone with the 309 account installed on it. and he'd be in some real hot water if anything happened to it. With only in his second year of working at the Foundation, his shiny new postdoctorate in development psychology wouldn't protect him from the wrath of the Foundation higher-ups. Anyway, we're coming right up to Enclosure 8, home to the amazing talented bear named Maya. Wait. Maya? I recognize the name Maya. Yeah, Maya the Magnificent, yeah. Maya's a little shy, but she's a lovely girl. Really, a wonderful dancer and singer too, though she doesn't do that often. Do you smoke, by the way? Smoke? Oh, no, Immediately a string of push notifications flashed across the top of Benedict's phone screen with dizzying speed. Oh, OMG, make a bear pun. Wait, did he just say the bear sings? Can't, bear spoken. And alongside as you ensure that Molina stared at him, broken only by the vibrations, Benedict's phone went off again and again. Benedict stared solidly at the ground. OMG, you actually did it. You're the best, Benny. Fire bear emoji. Finally, Molina laughed a little weakly. Ah, well, that's good. She steals cigarettes sometimes, that's all. I'll take you in to see her now. She's very shy around new people, though. So let's try not to disturb her too much, okay? Yeah, Benedict. As they wandered in through the doors onto a walkway that stretched out above the bear enclosure. Down below, an enormous brown bear lay stretched out below the tree, basking in the sun. At the sound of their footsteps, he cracked one eye open to peer casually at them. Wow, she's big. Good-looking bear, said Benedict a little awkwardly. It was hard to know how to comment adequately on a bear. To be honest, he wasn't even sure what a bad-looking bear would look like. Still, that seemed to be the correct response, because Molina grinned sheepishly, rubbed the back of his head. You think? We had a hell of a time getting her this healthy. You know, Maya was in a sorry state when we... I said story state. In a sorry state when we picked her up. Abused by the carnival, I think. Oh, that's terrible. They lapsed into the silence once more, both now watching the bear. Maya, seeming to sense eyes on her, gets to her feet and padded over the small pool to lap at the water. Felt oddly like she was making a studious attempt to ignore them. Well, said Molina, I should take you to the next enclosure. Should I take you to the next enclosure? A notification 309 had an opinion on this, apparently. No way, she's not singing. Can we stay till she sings? We'll stay for a little longer, I think. Shrugged. Okay, he said and gestured to a small office at the end of the walkway. I have some paperwork to do, so I'll just nip into my office for a bit. I'll be able to see you out the window, so let me know if you need me, okay? Sure, said Benedict, and with that settled, Molina wandered off. Left alone and feeling slightly ridiculous, Benedict continued filming the bear doing, well, bear-like things. I finished drinking from the pool and then padded over to a tree, apparently to inspect the bark. Can it really sing and dance? It seemed like a perfectly normal bear to Benedict, but maybe it just had no need to show off its anomalous abilities now that it was taken care of here in captivity. Yeah, that would make sense. Thinking about the bear, started Benedict out on a curious train of thought. Why on earth had 309 made such an abominable nuisance of itself for something as minor as a field trip? It had been largely cooperative with their team so far. Hadn't it expressly stated that it needed them to return to its original body? The logic didn't add up. It's still a teenage girl, man. That wants to do things. He hesitated, fingers hovering over his keyboard as he tried to imagine himself prying answers out of an evasive 309. It wasn't a pleasant mental image. 309 could be as slippery as a barrel of Vaseline-covered eels when it wanted to be. Even when it was making an effort to be compliant, Benedict struggled to cope with its personality. Yeah, that happens, adult to teenager. And some adults just have a bigger issue. Yeah. It would be so much easier to just let the matter drop. Wait for the bear to do something interesting and then return home with 309 placated? But Benedict Kim just wasn't the type of person capable of doing that. Like it or not, this was the project he had been assigned to, and he would take it seriously. Inhaling deeply through his nose, he tapped out the text. So, what's the real reason that we're here? The reply video came in an instant. What do you mean? Said 309. The girl in the video cocked her head in apparent confusion. She looked innocent, too innocent. If 309 wanted to ham things up even further, Stacey Lee would have to start fluttering her eyelashes and threatening to faint. You didn't drag us out here because you were bored. You got what you wanted. What's your motive? He's exceeded the 10-second time limit for Snapchat videos with his question, and it had ended up being split into 2 separate videos. Privately, Benedict cursed Snapchat and its creators. It really was an abomination of modern technology. I agree, dude. Alarmingly, the bear in the enclosure below was now looking up at him as if it could understand what he was saying and had recognized that the mood had changed. Could it do something like that? Did it possess sapience as well as anomalous performing art skills? 309 replies message was an infinite loop of Stacey Lee rolling her eyes, which Benedict recognized as a somewhat transparent effort to deflect. Time to play hardball. Don't do that, said Benedict into his phone. Explain. I will have the authorization for these outings revoked. He didn't actually have the power, of course, but 309 didn't know that. His phone stayed suspiciously silent. He wasn't responding. Was that a good sign or a bad sign? He stared at the bear instead in an effort to distract himself from his 309 related anxiety. The bear had moved closer to the walkway now, though it seemed to be trying to hide itself behind a large tree stump. Its dark, glossy eyes were trained directly on him with unsettling intensity. There was something strangely intelligent in the way that it was carrying itself. God, it really was staring at him, wasn't it? I'm trying to use an intimidation tactic on a Snapchat account, and now a bear is judging me for it. Great, just great! His phone vibrated again in his hand, startling him out of his thought. This time, 309 response was split into 2 videos. The first was Stacey Lee having a dramatic sigh. The next was unusually unpolished, or something generated by 309. Stacey Lee blinking at the camera for a few seconds, slightly out of focus. When she finally spoke at the end of the second video, her voice seemed to waver almost tremulously. It's, you know, my body double. -C? In a long pause, the bear had started using the trunk of a tree to scratch its back, still staring squarely at Benedict. It looked oddly judgmental. 309 started to type something, stopped, and finally sent in another video. Stacey Lee wasn't in the frame this time. Instead, it was just a shaky video of Benedict's own feet, with Stacey's voice playing over it. Look, I keep thinking about the conversation we had in June. Remember? Yes, I remember, said Benedict in a full uncomfortability silent, and fell uncomfortably silent. The conversation between 309 and -C in June had been, well, scientifically necessary, but unfortunate in its consequences. -C's mental state had been extremely fragile ever since. I like Benedict here because he's only 2 years into the Foundation, so he still has that, like, I'm trying to be serious, I'm trying to, like, follow the Foundation's image of doing things, but he still cares. He still cares for the skips, he still cares for what they feel and what they're going through. Like, when he saw that -C is, like, not leaving bed, he's like, oh shit, she's depressed. I kind of think she deserves this whole outing more than the phone does. I keep going back and rereading the message log, said 309 with Stacey Lee's voice in the next video. She was upset, wasn't she? Yes, Benedict said again. The words seemed inadequate somehow. Yes, she was. She's not Stacey Lee. I know she's not. You said this before, 309. We don't yet have the evidence to prove that. The next series of videos depicted Stacey Lee holding the phone but not looking into the camera. Instead, she was hanging half of the railing watching the bear. And though 309 usually timed its videos to match the natural rhythm of its speech, it had seemingly forgotten to do that for this set. The end result was that each video ended exactly on the automatic 10-second cutoff, sometimes cutting off mid-sentence. The first video began to play. No, that's not what I just mean no. Stop, start. He's not, well, the real one, but I just kind of, stop, start. Feel like I did something wrong, you know, so I kind of, stop, start. Wanted to do something to cheer up somehow, but it didn't work, I guess. Benedict felt off balance, like the ground wasn't quite solid beneath his feet. He had been thrown off by the strange and disjointed rhythm of 309's videos, or was it something else? But the -C isn't here, he said. Hanging in the chilly October air, the words sounded bitingly harsh, almost accusatory, but what was he even accusing 309 of? 309 wasn't his friend, even if it was essentially the only sapient entity that regularly communicated with him for social purposes aside from his mother. The relationship only existed within the cold space of clinical research. That's That's kind of sad. It's always hard to like sad to think about what the Foundation members have to like sacrifice, like relationship and social wise, to work on this. The same applied to Dash C to even a greater degree. So where had it come from, that strange heaviness weighing down his words? But Dash C isn't here. It was too much in the end. He used a sledgehammer where he needed a scalpel, and showed in the fact that no new videos arrived in the long, tense moments that ensued. Finally, a notification blinked into existence on his screen. Fiona had sent him an image, but it was just a picture of the bear, zoomed in on its face, a complete non-sequitur. I used to go to the zoo in Central Park all the time. When I was little, there's a zoo in Central Park. Damn. Oh yeah, yeah, duh. Yeah. Yeah, of course. They got us grizzly bears when I was 11, from the Bronx Zoo. Betty and Veronica. Good names, right? They were my favorite exhibit. What was that supposed to mean? Benedict grasped desperately for rational thought. The data said that 309 and Dash C had been recovered in New York City, and Stacey had grown up in Manhattan's Chinatown. The zoo was a location significant to its childhood, but how was that connected to Dash C? And then suddenly, it made sense. You were hoping that if we bring you out, we bring her out too. And that she liked the zoo. The words tasted like an apology. He wasn't sure what he was apologizing for, and that she would like the zoo. That's how he says. You both have the same memories, so you thought if you like it, so would she. One text in response, yes. Maybe it was the weight of the bear stare at him, or maybe it was the shock of seeing 309 sounding so oddly like its more somber humanoid counterpart. There was surely any number of explanations for the thin, wispy tendrils of pity unfolding tentatively within his cavernous ribcage. I mean, at the end, Stacey, both versions, are still, you know, based on the original Stacey, who's a human being. And we can kind of tell that Stacey's probably not a bad person. So, just like regular humans, being like locked away for like who knows how long, with somebody that you at first disliked. It reminds me of the whole case of like the mental asylum, not mental asylum, but mental hospital that had 3 guys in it that all believed they were Jesus Christ, but they had all different backgrounds and all that stuff, and they all call each other like an imposter. You cannot be them. I am them. You know what I mean? But then throughout time, they became friends. It didn't matter if they thought that they were supposed to be them. That didn't matter to them anyway. Like, there still were arguments about it, but it didn't matter to them. They were the only people that they were able to talk to or understand each other. So I think that's what Stacey is going through here. Like, she doesn't care anymore, or at least partially. If she has to prove that she's the real Stacey Lee, at the end she still knows, oh, we both are locked up here. The other one is getting more sad. I'm not interacting with her. I kind of want to make things happy for her a little bit better. Ridiculous to feel sorry for a skip of all things, and of the two, not even the truly unfortunate one. I mean, both. I feel like being stuck in a Snapchat is maybe really unfortunate. But yeah, fair. There was no more time to think on the matter though, because 309 launched straight into a video. Stacey was smiling again and gesticulating wildly. If her smile was a little bit plastic, Researcher Kim did not point it out. Look at Maya, said 309 as Stacey waved a hand at the bear. 309's video was starting and stopping at the right place again, like a physical expression of proper punctuation. Who wouldn't feel better after seeing her? Look how big and powerful she is. Bears don't have to be scared of what people think about them, don't you think? They don't have to be scared of anything at all. They're still well scared, but yeah. That's a very sweet young mind to think about how that. Benedict frowned. Now that he had located his previously missing logical groove again, it sounded like 309 was making some very questionable logical leaps of its own. No, he's just trying to, like, you know, make herself feel better. First of all, why would seeing something powerful make 309 feel better? And even putting that aside, a bear with a knack for the performing arts was definitely not particularly high up on the totem pole of power in the world that they lived in. Yeah, true, fair enough, but still. Sometimes seeing a whale, man, just makes you go like, wow, you know? Like, that's awesome, I respect that. What was the dancing bear against the horrors that lurked in the darkness, many of which could easily bring about the end of the world as they knew it? If Maya was sapient enough to imagine such things, then it had plenty to be afraid of. But that's not the point of what she's trying to do, man. Same thought seemed to have occurred to 309 for it sent the follow-up video without bothering to wait for a response. Well, I guess that's not true after all. You think Maya's scared of the people who made her the way she is? Of the people keeping her in here? Was it afraid? Maya had a good life with Wilson Wildlife Solutions, shelter from the elements, all the food it could eat, caretakers to look after it, in the event that it fell ill. Was it satisfied with that? Or did it still jump at every shadow and dream of freedom when the lights went out? You can easily compare the Foundation with a zoo sometimes. Of course, like, because like zoos are like, it started off as an entertainment purpose, but now a lot of zoos are converting into like a protection case. Like they are like, oh, we're keeping these animals safe from like from poachers, from people who don't care about the natural environment. Not every zoo, don't get me wrong. There's still zoos that are purely for entertainment purposes. But yeah. So the bear, like was it afraid? Doesn't want to go out? It kind of makes you think of like, you know, a lot of the humanoid SCPs that like the human, not humanoid, but the human SCPs that just got an anomalous effect attached to them without them wanting that. Benedict stared at the bear and tried to not see -C reflected in its eyes. The little girl sitting all alone in the Side 17 humanoid containment cell. Another message from 309, a selfie this time. Stacey Lee stared at it from behind the screen with a mischievous smile. Maybe that was the true difference between 309 and -C. No matter what happened, it was hard for 309 to stay serious for long. It always reverted back to its default in the end. Hey, I wanted to get a souvenir. Give the bear your phone. 309's language wasn't particularly difficult to parse, but it took Benedict a good few seconds to process the message anyway, just because of its utter stupidity. Give his phone to a bear so that 309 could get a souvenir. Objectively, it was a terrible idea. It was so terrible, in fact, that he never actually heard a worse idea in all of his 25-year tenure on the planet Earth. So you're only 25, bro, and you're already like this fucking... just like absolute gloomy. Not even if he tried to... I mean, to be fair, you could be 16 and be gloomy as shit. Nature, environments, friends, socials, life, relationships can make you, even with 16-year-old, be absolutely just the most like gloomy and logical thinking person possible. No fun allowed. Not even if we try to think all the way back to his days as a 16-year-old freshman at Berkeley with an aspiring frat boy for a roommate, and Dylan had been an extraordinary chatty drunk. I'm not giving the bear my phone 309. Come on, it's not like you're giving it my phone. What's the harm? Your phone sucks anyway, and maybe they'll buy you a new phone if the bear breaks it. Don't you want an iPhone X? I like my phone, and that would be a waste of Foundation resources. There, he gave a firm, sensible response to 309's ridiculous behavior. He hadn't insulted its intelligence or expressed his incredulity at the fact that he had been put forward something like that as a presumably serious suggestion. He simply denied the request and given the logical reasons for this decision. For a brief moment, Benedict let himself feel just a tiny bit proud of himself. There had been some rough moments during this little expedition of theirs, but maybe he was getting better at handling 309 after all. Oh, he's so responsible. Hey, does your mom have Snapchat? I bet we have so much to gossip about. I'm going to tell her all about the kind of comics you keep at work. The gods and the princess locked in lust. What? Benedict Kim's 58-year-old mother. Somin Kim was one of those young, ad hoc parents who thought it was hip and cool to keep up with the trending new technology of the day. She did in fact have a Snapchat. His palms were suddenly very, very sweaty. The mental image of 309 joining forces with his mother flashed through his mind, terrifying technical. And remember, his mom is the only other person he's keeping in contact with. His arm jerked in an aborted attempt to put some distance between his cell phone and his person. And then, as if the day hadn't been traumatic enough already, his grip slipped. In stunned dismay, Benedict watched as his phone careened through the air in a graceful arc before hitting the ground with an alarming crack. Down below, the bear jumped at a loud noise and then began inching closer to investigate. His cheeks felt very warm, with no better solution in mind. He went to go fetch Alex Molina. Instant report. Oh, fuck's. Poor Benedict Kim, man. Poor Benny. 309-13, filed by junior researcher Benedict Kim, SB involved, SB 309, date 12/11/2018, location Wilson's Wildlife Center, Enclosure 8. Preamble: researcher Benedict Kim took SCP-309 on a supervised expedition to Wilson's Wildlife Center, was given a guided tour by terrestrial team member Alex Molina. The relevant -B instance was stored in an armored briefcase. Researcher Kim communicated with 309 via his own phone. 2:03 p.m. the guided tour entered Enclosure 8 to observe Maya, a Syrian brown bear from the overhead walkway. SCP-309 expressed moderate interest when informed of the bear's anomalous ability to sing and dance. 2:16 p.m. after 13 minutes of observing the bear, 309 initiated a conversation. Researcher Kim subsequently dropped his phone off the walkway and landed in the enclosure, causing severe damage to the phone. Researcher Kim alerted WWS staff about the problem. 2:18 the bear approached the phone to investigate, appearing to navigate the touchscreen with its nose. 2:19 p.m. the bear sat back on its hind legs and began to dance. 2:22 p.m. Researcher Kim's mobile phone was recovered by Wilson's Wildlife Solutions staff member Alex Molina. At the end, I think what she wanted, the souvenir she wanted, was a video of the bear dancing somehow, maybe or just a picture of the bear to take to -C. The following messages were recovered from Researcher Kim's Snapchat message history with 309, presumably sent between 2:16 p.m. and 2:20 p.m. Researcher Kim... I can't even access your browser history, sucker. Don't worry, I'll save my messages myself. No secret correspondence here. I'm good, see? Bear! Hi, Bear! Hey, I can hear you. You can sing. Can you read too? One nose pick if you can, two if you can't. I was wondering, can you sing a little bit for me? 10 seconds. What? You won't do it? It's important, you know, it's a present for someone. I know it won't sound as nice as in person, but singing it in person is an option, you know? No singing? Ah, why? Dancing works too! OMG, thank you! Thank you, thank you, thank you! The following media was recovered from researcher Benedict Kim's camera roll and Snapchat memories in the following order. One video depicting Stacey Lee audio. Hi bear, I love you, 4 seconds. 5 images depicting the bear's nose. One video of the bear dancing, no audio, 10 seconds. Oh, the bear's nose pic must be so cute because like all those like camera shots of like the bear being like super close, it's just like this. Benedict looked over his incident report and sighed. It had been a long, hard Sunday, and he couldn't even console himself with the fact that his suffering had ended now that it was Monday. If Coles laughed at him when he read his incident report, Benedict suspected he might throw his coffee in the other man's face, work superior or not. At this point, not being put on a disciplinary probation might actually be a relief for the sake of his heart at the very least. Did I ever get I could try that, yeah, that still should work. When the pocket had of his lab coat, his phone began to vibrate. It was probably 309 again. It always seemed to be nowadays. Hey, Benny. So the whole take not me to the zoo thing, the thing that didn't work out, but we did get to meet Maya, which was cool, right? Anyway, don't worry, I won't give up. We'll try again next time, okay? Okay, what do you mean we try again next time? What do you mean? Benny's like, oh, what the fuck do you mean? The fuck? What do you mean? Okay, now we have anomalous teen against trilobite schemes. Okay, here we go. You're being a... I'm not sure who's talking. This is Cole. You're being a baby. Just take it on its little field trip and be done with it. Cole's Cokes. It'll be fun. Side 201 does like prehistoric shit. Dinosaurs. Ben. Dinosaurs. It won't be fun. It'll be terrible. You know, Kochenko still makes bear jokes every time I walk in the break room. Junior researcher Benedict came shuddered at the thought of the previous month's expedition. The morose expression on his face made him look a bit like a very sad moose. I like how Coles is the only one who's like, it's like, come on, boy, lighten up a little bit. Like, I'm like, you're part of the Foundation, brother, and you're the superior. How are you this like happy? How are you this like motivated and optimistic, bro? Like, I want to work for you, man. I'll be like, I'll just be like, yeah, the Foundation, like, yeah, the world is a terrible supernatural disaster, but with Cole, I just be like, hey guys, how y'all? Yeah. We're catching some skips today. We're interviewing some other skips today. What's going on? Coles rolls his eyes. That's your own damn fault for dropping your phone in a bear enclosure because an anomalously sapient Snapchat account made fun of you. Benedict's phone beeped. He forgot to put it on silent. At Cole's meaningful look, Benedict reluctantly dug it out of his pocket and checked his messages. Museum hype! Do you think Phyllis work on dinosaurs? It is so lit. It's not even a museum, Benedict mumbled solemnly. It was a compromise, okay? Come on, man. Coles wheedled. We're short-staffed. I've already told the people at Site 201 to expect you, and threw on that request to do specifically. Don't you feel bad for the little phone girl? Honestly, no. Cole stared at him for a long moment and began to snicker. Benedict winced and stood there to check it until he stopped. Okay, seriously, Cole said finally, once he finally managed to get his giggles under control. You'll be looking for researcher Annabelle Shiulan. Don't be late. Shiulan? Yeah, okay. Okay, now get out of my office. Yes, sir. Benedict sighed and spun on his heel to leave. When he was halfway to the door, Cole cleared his throat. Oh, and researcher Kim, Cole examined his nails nonchalantly. It'll be fine. For once in your life, stop worrying so much. Again, we all work with the Foundation, so I think worrying is like... It's like the thing you asked me at the interview before I get hired for the job. Do you worry? Yes. Good. You're hired. The alarms howled shrilly to life, blaring out the unmistakable, caterwauling wail for a Euclid breach. Over the silent screams, Benedict could just barely make out the loud, clanking sound of the security system automatically locking shut the doors. Okay, is this at the site or are we somewhere else? There has been a containment breach. There has been a containment breach in Sector C. I repeat, there has been a containment breach in Sector C. Announced a smooth. Oh, female. There has been a containment breach in Sector C. I repeat, there has been a containment breach in Sector C. Announced a smooth female voice over the crackly intercom. The relevant anomaly is SB4131. Security personnel will deal with the breach shortly. If you are not in secured room, please remain calm and proceed in an orderly manner to a designated checkpoint. I assume that's going to be, yeah. That's in 1.5 years. Things are going to be fine for Benedict bitterly. Yeah, right. The first 2 hours of the guided tour of Site 201 had been fine. Researcher Shualan had clearly relished the opportunity to play tour guide for the day, and she'd had 309 practically in raptures all day with tales of the most troublesome skips. A heavily armed prehistoric creature with a trilobite obsession? Sure, Shualan could handle it. To be completely honest, it had been a bit of a novelty to see aside from what was almost a civilian's point of view. Yeah, absolutely. Even if they only been given clearance to see the more child-friendly anomalies. I don't know. I don't remember which who are all in 201. But imagine if like if she sees 999, she would lose her mind, dude. She'd be like, what? All the iPods. But he was even willing to admit that he'd been starting to have a good time. But then Shualan had run out on them for an urgent call, and shortly after, the alarms had started blaring. Now he was boxed in by the white walls of the Site 201 laboratory like a rat in a trap. They were locked in by the security system, and even if he left, he wouldn't know which way to run. He was in for a long wait. His cell phone vibrated in his hand, catching his attention. Benny? Jeez, are you listening to me? Hello? Hello? Under his breath, Benedict cursed. But strangely, the existence of a concrete problem with a clear solution was almost comforting. His veins were buzzing with undirected adrenaline. He had stopped filming when the alarm started going off, so 309 didn't know about the containment breach. There, an obvious problem and an obvious solution. Stay calm. There has been a containment breach for SCP-4131. Despite the cold air conditioning blowing through the underground facility, a bead of sweat dribbled down Benedict's face. He forced himself to stop pacing and heaved himself onto a lap counter instead. His heart was jabbering in his chest like he had just downed a gallon of Red Bull. There was a brief pause. 309 was starting tapping, stopped briefly, then started back up again. Oh, so what are we meant to do? Benedict got halfway through a sentence before realizing to his horror that he had no idea what to say. What were they supposed to do? He was only visiting Site 201 and had no idea what the breach protocols were. That must be so terrifying if you like transfer or visiting a site and then a breach happens and you have no idea what the rules are on that site. Or the rules for that specific SCP that breach, you have no idea. You barely knew anything about 4131. This is where I would shine, because I would be like, don't worry guys, if a SCP breach happens, I have read every single one of them. I don't remember half of the breaches rules, but I'll be fine. Oh, then it's Euclid class, object class, and an object class said absolutely nothing about an anomaly's ability to kill him. Just a moment. Let me call Shulan to check. Strapping out of the Snapchat app, he dialed Shulan's number. The phone rang once, twice, and went to voicemail. A cold trickle of fear pulled in the stomach. What did she say? Is she coming to get us? Shulan to the rescue? She didn't pick up. Please endeavor to stay calm regardless. There was a long pause. Benedict had only ever been in one containment breach before, and he known immediately that he wasn't in any real danger. That wasn't the case now. Benedict was essentially alone in a new site with no idea what was loose or how dangerous it was, and all he had to do to protect himself was an enormously annoying social media account. Ruthlessly, he stamped down on the wave of claustrophobic panic that washed over him. 309 started rapidly firing off text, typing with almost inhuman speed. It's okay. Don't worry so much, Benny. It's a big site. There's no way that it will come here. His phone started to ring. It was not Shulan. Benedict stared at the caller ID, astonished. He hadn't even realized that Snapchat had a video call function. Distantly, he thought occurred to him that 309 really should have told him about this previously. The 10-second video problem had really caused Benedict to end of trouble. Normally, he accepted the call. Stacey Lee's face filled the screen. Benny? Said 309 anxiously. Benny, are you scared? It'll be okay. I'm sure it will. Somewhere in the building, something exploded. It sounded close. Oh, fuck. They stared at each other, wide-eyed. The girl on the screen looked impossibly young, and Benedict was suddenly reminded of the fact that the real Stacey Lee was only 15. A hot wave of shame washed over him. He was supposed to be the adult here, but there he was, being comforted by what was essentially a teenager. I'm fine, 309, he said, feeling like the world's dirtiest liar. Just stay calm. 309 nodded fervently, and for a moment Benedict thought that maybe things would be okay. The explosion sounded close, but that was probably his panicked mind playing tricks on him. In a few minutes, an MTF would handle things, and then, as if in direct fulfillment of Murphy's Law, the northern wall exploded. The force of the explosion knocked Benedict off his feet, and for a brief moment he was airborne, flying over the lab counters and biohazard disposal bins like an enormous bird of prey. Somewhere in the chaos of noises and bright lights, 309 screamed. Benedict hit the wall with a sickening crack and the world went black. And he came back into the world with the waking with a jolt. The air hung thick with plaster dust, his head ached. Benedict shifted uncomfortably and then hissed. This tale is fucking awesome. I love this, like, this new member of the Foundation and this young SCP based on a 15-year-old child with a Snapchat bonding over the bullshit that is the Foundation's universe. He was almost certain that his left shoulder was broken. At least 2 places, blood was dripping into his left eye. And where was his phone? Exhausted, he let his head roll to the side. The floor was almost unrecognizable, mad as it was with a thick layer of dust. Shrapnel glass. With a start, he realized that that his phone was still clenched tightly in his hand. If only he had that kind of grip strength back at Wilson's Wildlife Center, he thought, slightly dazed. The call hadn't ended. Stacey Lee stared up at him from the screen, both hands clamped tightly over her mouth. Catching his eye, she gingerly removed her hands and then put one finger to her lips in the universal gesture for silence. Deep inside the dust cloud, something scuttled across the linoleum just outside. Benedict's heart skipped a beat. I'm getting a little bit of a spoiler of what the future SCP will be, but I will probably not remember what it is until I get there. Well, maybe. Who knows? Maybe I'll be like, oh yeah, I remember fucking 309 had to deal with this shit. The thick cylindrical tip of a miss. Because every time I say I won't remember it, I do. And when I say I will try to remember it, I don't. The thick cylindrical tip of a missile launcher emerged out of the smoke and ashes. The burnished metal glinted menacingly in the flickering fluorescent lights overhead. For half a second, relief swelled in Benedict's chest at the prospect that this might be Site 201's security personnel come to investigate the explosion. Not half a second later, those hopes were dashed as the rest of the missile launcher came into view, along with the enormous bladed head that it was attached to. The creature head swiveled around languidly, giving Benedict an obstructive view of the metal grid and strange tribal markings embedded into its carapace. Slumped limply against the wall, Benedict stared up at it in horror. The creature towered over him, standing easily at the height of an adult human. The serrated edges of its perfectly circular mouth chattered as it dragged itself forward, propelled by the steady undulation of an intricate series of overlapping lobes. Its beady eyes swiveled under long stalks and landed finally on Benedict's frozen form. Benedict struggled to stand, to do something, but he couldn't get up. Even the slightest movement felt impossibly difficult. In the end, he could do nothing as the creature wiggled its way towards him, his heartbeat pounded in his ears like a drumbeat. And then began to speak. From beside him, 309 let out a tiny squeak. 4131's voice sounded like it was coming from the inside of Benedict's head. Hello. Actually, hello. I'm quite confident in my speech, you know, said 4131 politely. It was bizarrely chirpy. Gee, it sure is nice to stretch my fins a little. Seen any trilophocus around? They must be getting complacent without me to put them in their place. Benedict stared, slack-jawed. Trilophocus? That sounds like Shilon's troublesome project. The anomal carries with delusions of a trilobite conspiracy. Put out Benedict Trader's mouth as things clicked into place for him. Then he immediately sucked in a sharp breath, horrified at himself. Oh, he said it out loud, damn. All of a sudden, Benedict was staring straight down the sleek barrel of what was definitely closer to a bazooka than a gun. A delusion, said the anomal carries outraged. You're one of them, aren't you? Is this a cover-up, pretending that the trilobite threat doesn't even exist? Benedict's mouth opened and closed silently as he stared up into the pointed end of the massive torpedo. This must be so terrifying. Imagine he's just like on the ground, like, you know, like with knees on the ground, just looking up, bazooka right there, and all he has is like a little, like 15-year-old girl just saying that. Just like, just seeing that. That must be horrifying for both of them. Maybe if they bluffed well enough and played into its solution, it wouldn't kill them, but his mouth felt like it was stuffed with cotton wool and his head was swimming. It occurred to him that he was probably concussed. Well, demanded the anomal carries, it peered at him suspiciously. Why aren't you saying anything? There's no trilobites here, he forced out blatantly. The anomal carries clacked its mandibles at him and slithered a little close until the barrel of its torpedo launcher was so close to Benedict's face that he was nearly going cross-eyed looking at it. That's the most pathetic attempt at a lie that I've ever heard, he said suspiciously. You're trilobite spies, aren't you? Click. The safety of the missile launcher snapped off. Benedict swallowed dryly. The realization of his impending death cut through the haze of his foggy mind like a beam of light. An overgrown prehistoric shrimp was going to shoot him for being a trilobite spy. He was about to die there on the cold linoleum floor of Site 201 laboratory for absolutely no reason at all. God, he wouldn't have worked so hard if he'd known it would all be for nothing. It sucked that he'd never be a senior researcher. The absurdity of the situation was just starting to set in, and a gravely laugh bubbled out hysterically out of his aching throat. What are you laughing about? The anomaly carrier said, rearing back in outrage. Your trilobite comrades can't save you now. I'm going to send you to hell where pure evil like you belong, Stralos scum. Benedict tried fruitlessly to clamp down on his uncontrollable giggles, but it was hopeless. I just... Oh, shut up, Benny. The 09's voice rang out from his phone loud and clear. It startled him so badly that he stopped talking immediately. On the phone screen, 309 was vibrating with nervous energy, with two bright splashes of colors rising on its cheeks. The anomaly carries jerked, looking around wildly. Who said that? A Trilo ghost? No, but it was too late. The anomaly carries fired off a volley of torpedoes at the southern wall, blowing an enormous hole in the plaster. With a deafening loud blast, the dust in the air thickened. 309 shuddered, pupils blown wide with shock. And it shook itself and continued out with only the slightest tremor in its voice. No, you idiot! Down here! It crossed its palms, raising his chin in some strange parody of haughtiness. The anomaly carry scuttled away from Benedict to peer cautiously at the phone, the enormous gun out of his face. Benedict stuck in his first proper deep breath. You'll have to excuse my partner, 309 said, its voice going high and uncertain. He's new. First on the job, you know. On the trilobite spy job? No, for God's sake, why are you teaching? What are they teaching you here? Can't you recognize a member of 309 trailed off? It blinked up at the anomaly carrier's face, moving out in a blank mask. After a moment, Benedict jumped in. Now that the gun was out of his face, Benedict's brain had finally rebooted. The anomalous teens against trilobite schemes. 309 gave a little jump as if stalled and then nodded vigorously. Yeah, anomalous teens against trilobite schemes. You are a member, aren't you? The tremor had suddenly vanished from its voice, but Benedict didn't have the time to think too hard about it. The anomaly carrier clicked wildly. It looked embarrassed. If it was possible for a prehistoric shrimp to look embarrassed. Well, no, but I'm the best trilobite hunter around. You know, there was one time that a squad of trilobites had me surrounded and I busted right out of there. Yeah, whatever, said 309. It was starting to become strangely confident. I mean, I'm like responsible for the extinction of trilobites in the tri-state area, you know. So like, you know, I'm really impressed with the macho posturing. It paused, mouth twisting, and when added, God, you're really out of touch, aren't you, old timer? Sure, you're not the trilobite spy. Me? Squawked the anomaly carrier's outrage. I'm not a trilobite spy. Trilobites have pure evil burning within them. How could you confuse me for one of them? Oh yeah? Said 309. Prove it. How? 309 hesitated. Its mouth had run away with it. It was painfully obvious, at least to Benedict, that it had no clue how the anomaly carriers could prove its allegiance. The anomaly carriers cocked its massive head in anticipation. After a long, tense moment, 309 regrouped it valiantly. How do you think? How do I think? Yeah, said 309 very seriously. It had adopted the wide-eyed, earnest look of a practiced liar. Take some initiative, comrade. This is a test. How do you think you're going to prove yourself? Norma carries paused to consider this for a moment and then said very enthusiastically, I'm gonna kill some Trilo ghosts. Great, said 309. That's awesome. You go do that on the other side of the room, maybe. Benny was pretty badly injured by the Trilo ghost. Okay, it chirped and scuttled cheerfully over the other side of the room. As soon as its back was turned, 309 sagged like a deflated balloon. Are you okay? It said, voice going hushed. Your head is bleeding like really badly. Okay, mumbled Benedict, just dizzy. Dizzy was an understatement, actually. His whole field of vision was starting to go black and spotty around the edges. It seemed increasingly like that the event of this past 15 minutes was just a surreal stress stream of some kind. They were interrupted by a loud blast from the other side of the room. As the anomaly carriers blasted a hole in the floor, it scuttled back over, obviously pleased with itself. I really got that crafty little carapace creep good, yeah? It said eagerly. Did you see that? Did you see? I really showed him what's up. 309 beamed ahead. Yeah, you did great. I'm the best trilobite. I'm at I'm the best at trial by elimination, the normal carry screamed. It's like poetry, but with explosions. Okay, said 309. I guess now that you're really with us, you can tell some war stories. The words swam and then faded out. For a few seconds, Benedict blinked and suddenly the Anomal Carries was telling 309 in vivid detail about a great battle in which it and a small guerrilla force had taken on an entire Trilobite army and survived with minimal casualties on their side. Then it faded to black once more and only returned when Benedict was jolted out of its daze when the door slammed open with an enormous bang. A veritable squadron of men in uniforms poured into the room and the Anomal Carries screeched in outrage. Someone rushed over to his side, and somewhere in the ensuing bedlam, Benedict lost the battle to stay conscious for the final time that day and slipped into a dreamless sleep. Waking up. Hey, he's waking up! Someone get the medic! Benedict opened his eyes to the bright white walls of the Site 201 Medical Center. He squinted. The lined face of researcher Annabelle Schulan came into focus. She looked sheepish and more than a little relieved. How are you feeling? She said. I think I need to buy you a drink after all this. I heard you fended off 4131 pretty well. Benedict shook his head. Wasn't me, he mumbled. His tongue felt very thick and his words came out slurred. Is it still Sunday? No, said Shulan. It's Monday. You've been out for a while. What's your name? Who's the current president? Monday, Benedict gasped at her and then stammered out a response. Shulan nodded, apparently satisfied with his answers, and bustled off to fetch a medic. Someone had put a fruit basket on his bedside table, tied with a cheerful polka-dotted ribbon. His cell phone was tucked in between the apples, an enormous pineapple. It was almost out of battery. Strange. 309 hadn't sent him a single message. He reached for the phone with his good hand, wincing with the stretch, and fumbled around the app. For a moment, after a few moments of fruitless swiping, he discovered that the elusive call button was available from the chat screen in a very low-key shade of grey. 309 picked up on the first ring. His mouth fell open at the side of the bandages wrapped tightly around his forehead. Benny, are you okay? Yes, Benedict said. He had nod, but moving his head sent a sharp pain glancing through his skull, so he gave up on his dad and smiled tersely instead. 309, you did good. Said 309, seemed caught off guard by his praise and looked away. Wasn't embarrassed. Well, not really. I didn't do anything particularly brave or special. You saved me, Benedict said slowly, struggling to maneuver his wooden tongue. I'll be dead if it wasn't for you. Shot in the head by a giant shrimp. A brief, weak grin flashed across 309's face. Yeah, that was pretty whack, huh? I liked Maya way better. Benedict hummed in agreement. He was feeling oddly sentimental. It was probably the concussion talking. You were brave, really. But 309 shook its head, and odd emotion flickered behind its eyes. I wasn't, it insisted. You don't get it. I wasn't brave at all. Benedict blinked at it and thought ruefully to himself the head injury made it even more difficult to pause 309's mercurial moods than usual. As usual, 309 took his uncomprehending silence as permission to continue. I wasn't brave. I wasn't even scared, it pressed on, seeming to stumble over its own words. Yesterday I realized that I'm not scared of a giant shrimp monster with guns for heads because they can't kill me, you know? You can't shoot an app, it hesitated. An app isn't human. You get it, right? Benedict didn't get it, actually, but 309 didn't seem to notice. There was almost a wistful cast to its expression, and though he was looking straight at him, Benedict got the strange feeling that it wasn't him that 309 was seeing. I wonder if she's trying to say at that moment, I'm an app. I'm not human. If she's trying to kind of say, maybe I'm the false Stacey Lee. But also, at the same time, it's also rational thinking. Be like, yeah, if he shoots me, I'm not gonna be dead. You know, 309 said, its tone softening. It's been months since I woke up in here. Did you notice my hair is still exactly the same length? I haven't eaten or slept in months. Humans don't do that, right? No, said Benedict. They don't. 309 giggled. The sound had a sharp, desperate edge to it. I guess it's kind of thinking that if I stay like this, I'm never going to be normal again. Benny, am I still going to be like this in 10 years? 20? 100? I don't know, said Benedict a little helplessly. The tiny selfish part of him wished despairingly that he could go back to sleep. We still don't know if... Forget about C for a little bit. 309 caught in. Its smile blinked out like someone had flicked a switch on and turned off the lights. Forget about which one of us is real. Would you guys really ever be able to put me back in the first place? Benedict Kim was tired and concussed and generally a terrible liar. When he opened his mouth, an unspoken and unkind truth slipped out. I don't know, he said again. And then inadequately, I'm sorry, 309. 309 nodded and looked away. Okay, it said very quietly. Benedict hesitated. Are you? Are you? Yeah, it said with a brittle glass smile. His shoulders sagged very slightly. It's fine. I guess I kind of suspected, you know. Oh, said Benedict uncertainly. 309 shrugged, aggressively nonchalant. You know, I kind of get it now. The other me. -C. Is that so? Sure, she doesn't know who she is, right? Because I exist. Stacey Lee's face was an inscrutable mask, betrayed only by the glossy dark shine of its eyes. I guess I get that now. I mean, it's starting to become really obvious that I'm not the same person I used to be either, right? Benedict said it wordless and ineffectual. They lapsed into an uncomfortable silence. By the time that Shulan came back, it was clear that the conversation was over. Great. We have potentially have two Stacey Lees now that are depressed. Now we have cafeteria chat. Hey, can you pass the salt? Junior researcher Benedict Kim stalled. It was December and the stale air of Site 19 had the cafeteria reeked of rancid body odor and subpar budget meals. Ugh. Y'all don't use fucking good deodorant? The past hour in the cafeteria northwest corner, junior researcher Benedict Kim had sat uncomfortably at a table near strangers, united only by their foundation jobs. There we go. And the determination to ignore each other. But this stranger wasn't ignoring him. This stranger was trying to engage him in conversation. It was a terrifying upheaval of the established social order, especially considering that the soul was perfectly well within its arm reach. Said Benedict with an eloquence of a socially stunned sea slug. Yeah, here. He nudged the salt shaker marginally closer to his table mate. The other man picked up the shaker, spun it around, handily shook an even layer of salt over his plate of something. Despite himself, Benedict went in for a second look. On close inspection, his lunch companion appeared to have ordered the Thursday meatloaf surprise, but the amorphous mass of porous, meaty brownness had been sliced into perfectly even cubes. This had the overall effect of transforming a fairly mediocre meal into a culinary masterpiece, straddling the border of modern art and affordably priced sustenance. His lunch companion smiled charmingly and began consuming his meal in a series of quick, efficient bites. Benedict's phone buzzed in his pocket and he immediately fumbled to get it out, grateful for an excuse to avert his eyes and in the brief bit of conversation. He had a tough morning, courtesy of SCP-309. For once, the Sapien Snapchat account hadn't actually done anything of note, but its continued existence and presence in Foundation custody seemed to generate endless amounts of paperwork. An encounter with a stranger was altogether too much stimulation for Benedict. Then he actually looked at his phone, and any sense of relief from her distraction immediately faded. So I've been thinking, we should let me talk to C again. Benedict stared at the phone in a sort of dumbfounded frustration and struggled fruitlessly to string together a full sentence, preferably composed of vaguely tactful words. His brain, unfortunately, seemed to be malfunctioning. The words just weren't connecting. Great idea, right? No, it wasn't. Or at least Benedict didn't think it was. What good could possibly come of the two talking? It had been a good week when -C, the 15-year-old humanoid that shared SCP, that shared 309's identity, would burst into tears at the mere mention of its more obviously anomalous counterpart. -C had been making good progress lately and had apparently developed a keen interest in psychology. it would be reckless and short-sighted to put all that at risk. He expressed his sentiment by choking on his spaghetti. A clump of half-chewed spaghetti flopped gracefully out of his open mouth, and now a messy splat under his plate, flecking his plate shirt with speckles of tomato sauce. The stranger looked over him in concern. "Are you okay?" "Fine," said Benedict awkwardly. "Fine, yeah, fine. Do you, need a napkin?" "No, I mean, yes, actually, thank you very much." There was a brief, awkward kerfuffle as Benedict and his lunch companion both reached for the napkin dispenser simultaneously. The other man politely withdrew. With napkin in hand, Benedict dabbled gingerly at his shirt. The action just sort of spread the sauce around, causing it to absorb into the fabric. The result, upon inspection, was significantly worse. Giving up, Benedict picked up on his phone again in an effort to ward off. Oh, I can hear my dog barking. That means the guests have arrived, so I need to read the last part separately, maybe. Social interaction. The heck, don't leave me on read. You know I can see you open the messages, right? Anyone in? Space case? I'm not sure that talking to -C at this stage is a good idea. Why not? What are you hoping to talk to her about? His cell phone began to vibrate like an extraordinarily aggressive hornet. 309 was trying to call him. Benedict glanced around. Lunch period was nearly over, and the cafeteria was fairly quiet. His table mate was watching him curiously. I'll go take this one, Benedict said awkwardly, fumbling to lower the volume of a buzzing phone. The stranger shrugged, turning away politely. "Sure, go for it, don't mind me." Reluctantly, he accepted the call. The face of 15-year-old Stacey Lee filled the screen as 309 launched straight into its pitch. "Well, to apologize, right? Like, I don't know of an olive branch of peace and friendship." As it talked, 309 backed away from the screen and had begun gesticulating with such impressive speed that it was actually too much for Benedict's internet connection. Its arms had turned into a sort of off-white hoodie-shaped blur. And like, give her some souvenirs in person. How else am I going to fix things? Benedict shrank back into his seat, wishing he'd gone outside to the bathroom to take the call. It seemed by far too awkward to try leaving now. That's really wonderful, 309, but she's making some good progress, you know, and... He paused, confused. "What souvenirs?" "You know," said 309 impatiently, "like the bear video and that piece of the wall." "A piece of wall," Benedict gasped at 309 amazed. So that was why researcher Sheldon had mailed him a piece of rubble after the whole disaster at Site 201. It had been a souvenir. He thought it had been more kind of an advanced hazing tactic, or perhaps a threat of some kind. "I'd have to get it approved," said Benedict distractedly. "I don't really have that power, even if I thought it was a good idea, which I don't, for the record." 309 huffed, crossing his arms. What? It's totally a good idea." Benedict glanced around awkwardly and noticed that his lunch companion was watching him. There was a curious expression on his face. Said Benedict awkwardly. Oh, sorry, the other man chuckled awkwardly. "Is that your younger sister?" The unspoken question was obvious. "Is that a civilian?" 309 tensed on screen. It had fallen awkwardly silent. No." Benedict paused and looked his table made up and down for the first time. He didn't look much like a researcher, but he was obviously affiliated with the Foundation some way, and 309 wasn't particularly classified information. "This is SCP-3009. It's an entity tied to a Snapchat account. I'm responsible for fulfilling its social needs." "How fascinating. I think I've heard a little about the case. Very interesting. So you must be on the 309 research team?" "Yes," said Benedict. Junior researcher Benedict Kim. "Nice to meet you." The man nodded with an apologetic smile. "So I didn't mean to interrupt your conversation. I'm Agent Johnson. It's a pleasure. Wait a minute." "Okay." That caught 309's attention. "Agent," repeated suddenly, interested. "You mean there's people here on like scientists?" Johnson caught Benedict's eye questioningly. When Benedict nodded, Johnson smiled reassuringly. "Yes," he said. "A field agent means that I help the Foundation with work that they have outside." 309 seemed extremely impressed by this. On screen, Stacey Lee sucked in a slow breath and nodded slowly. "Wow, like James Bond?" "Like James Bond! Awesome! I thought you had to be, like, super sciencey to work with the Foundation." No," said Johnson. "There are lots of different things that the Foundation needs people to do. I just help out where I'm needed, you know?" "That's so cool," 309 said, fascinated. "Do you do a lot of cool things? It sounds like a fun job, like something out of a comic book." Something flickered oddly in Agent Johnson's eyes, but the moment passed so quickly that Benedict wondered if it had been his imagination or perhaps a trick with the fluorescent lighting. Well, I do a lot of helpful things, said Johnson tactfully. His smile suddenly seemed extremely bland. Oh, like something out of a comic book, but I couldn't imagine, to be honest, that Agent Johnson's job was all sunshine and rainbows. The Foundation did need a lot of work to get done, and not all of it was pleasant. Like removing 15-year-old girls from their homes and putting them under permanent protective custody, and even that was fairly insignificant when compared to the other things that the Foundation did. The 309 situation was barely a blip on the Foundation radar. We get it, Benedict. You think that 309 is not that big of a deal, but come on, man. Benedict stalled the conversation and moved on without him. Agent Johnson and 309 were chatting. Admirably, they didn't look like a Foundation agent in a skip-making conversation. Agent Johnson seemed almost like a particularly friendly teacher chatting to a prize student. Which was wonderful, and I couldn't help but notice that the two of you have a very close relationship. Agent Johnson was saying, "Do you admire what Researcher Kim does?" I guess, said 309. I mean, Benny's a cool guy, deep down. I don't really know much about what he does, but he seems really super cool. I'm not very good at science, though. But you'd like to help the Foundation other ways if you could, said Johnson curiously. 309 hesitated momentarily. I guess so. I mean, I'd like to be useful, you know? Agent Johnson smiled. He finished his food at some point and had started clearing his section of the table. That's excellent. A wonderful goal. I'm sure that there's some way you can be more useful. You think so? Said 309 hopefully. I'm positive, said Johnson. He rose from his seat and picked up his tray. Well, I have some errands to run, but this was a pleasure meeting you both. Benedict tried imagining what it might like for 309 to be more useful to the Foundation. The thought made him strangely uncomfortable. It was difficult to put into words why he felt that way, probably because the idea of making a 15-year-old girl be useful for the Foundation sounds wrong. It's a minor. It shouldn't be considered. It's the same thing with like the kids who are stuck in a video game and now are part of an MTF group. We have to kill a lot of people. Yes, they are a lot more of a special case, but at the same time, they shouldn't have been in that position, right? But it's sadly how it went for them, and how like some SCPs also got children experimented with. So, like children were experimenting with the SCP that by the Foundation, of course, like the trampoline that fucking would shoot you in fucking space. And you, 309 chirped. Come talk to me again sometime. Tell me about all your awesome adventures. Well, it's classified stuff, said Johnson with a smile, turning to leave. Well, I'll do my best. Have a great day. Same to you, said Benedict a few seconds too late, but he timed it wrong and Johnson was already out of earshot. Now, let's see. How long is this? Because because the guests are here now. I should probably calm down. Let me check with them real quick, with everybody, and if I can tell them if I can come down in like half an hour, then I'll be able to finish reading this. Be right back. Why did I turn off my phone and my headphone? All right, good. We can go on. I accidentally turned off my let's see. That should be enough. Okay, good. Guys, we can finish this. This tale contains a depiction of depression as well as mentions of past self-harm and suicidal ideation. It does have a happy ending, but reader discretion is advised just to be safe. It does have a happy ending, okay. But there seems to be coming soon. There seems to be more. So this one is called Two Roads Diverge, the -C remix. Junior researcher Benedict Kim had been a fan of Side 19 Burger King since it had been built a few years back. It was brightly colored and aggressively normal, a pleasant alternative to the strange smelling cafeteria. The white tables and easy availability of food made a good change of pace from the office. Unfortunately, the change of pace wasn't helping Benedict much. He had been there for years now, and his table was scattered with paperwork. His half-eaten cheeseburger had gone cold an hour ago. He scowled at the thick blue binder open. Actually, while I'm doing this, I should real quickly, because I'm trying to arrange all this stuff in the same time, put the recording of the other tale of 3000 real quickly into Premiere, so it will already like render the audio stuff, which should be this one. Good. Good. Okay. Let's go. Let's continue. Researcher Benedict. The change of pace wasn't helping Benedict much. He had been there for hours now, and his table scattered with paperwork. His half-eaten cheeseburger had gone cold an hour ago. He scowled at the thick blue binder open in from him. Its thick blue plastic cover glinting in the fluorescent light. The header at the top of the page said, in neat block letters, -C Psychological Progress Report. He lifted up his pen, and his phone buzz jolted out of his fast food-fueled stupor. He put the pen down and blearily checked the screen. What you doing? Can I call you? It was SCP-3009, the Foundation's most irritating sapient Snapchat account. Are you still like that? For once, she only had indirectly caused his general state of exhaustion, but she certainly wasn't helping the situation. He needed to concentrate. His bi-monthly trip down to Site 17 was later that day, and he had to prepare. He picked up his phone and began hastily typing up a reply, but his phone almost immediately began to vibrate like it had been possessed by the specter of a very angry hornet. He hesitated for a moment, glancing at his binder as if for permission to slack off from work momentarily, and then accepted the call. The familiar face of what appeared to be an adolescent girl filled the screen. Interesting how we're getting this again. Hi, sang 3009 message. Message for you from Dr. Coles. Our James Bond marathon is approved, and you're supervising. Great, huh? Benedict sighed. His supervisor, Dr. Dennis Coles, had taken to using 3009 as some sort of messenger pigeon, partially because it made her feel useful, and partially because he thought it was funny. It was lacking in professionalism, but 3009 loved it, and it wasn't certainly more harmless than the other ways in which she wanted to help out around the office. You could have just texted, he said patiently, and flipped around the camera so that she could see the mass of paper on the table. I'm taking advantage of my lunch break to review and recompile my notes on -C. I need to concentrate. Yeah, okay, I'll text next time, said 3009, blatantly sincere. She had said that the last time too. I paused and, actually, that was what I want to talk about, -C, I mean. You're seeing her today, right? Benedict narrowed his eyes. He knew where this was going. 3009 always brought up the same question when her human counterpart was mentioned. When can we have our reunion? The single meeting had ended on a rather antagonistic note, and 3009 had become fixated with putting things right, which was admirable, but 3009, I've told you, she's not ready to see you yet. The therapist reports have been promising, but let's not get too ahead of ourselves, alright? On the screen, 3009's face twisted. I know, Dad. I wasn't going to say we should meet right now. I just mean, our birthday's in March. Well, I guess I'll technically be 15 forever, but she's turning 16. That seems important, right? So I was thinking that maybe that could be when we had our reunion. Benedict considered this. It sounded like a sensible time frame. It was good to set goals, but he didn't want to risk pushing -C too hard. And yet 3009 was making a puppy dog eyes at him, and despite knowing that it was a manipulation tactic, he softened. It didn't sound like an important date, to be fair. I'll try, he conceded before adding quickly. But this is a preliminary goal only, and may be reevaluated based on changing circumstances. 3009 shook her head. You have to promise, she said. You have to help her by then, so that she doesn't have to spend her 16th birthday alone, okay? He hesitated. 3009 looked at him expectantly. I promise, he said. I'll do my best. Well, go on then. This one doesn't bite, doesn't do much of anything actually. The on-duty security... Oh, it's the security guard on Site 17. Okay, well, go on then. This one doesn't bite, doesn't do much of anything actually. The on-duty security guard in Site 17's accommodation when he was not happy with junior researcher's Benedict came. This was not surprising, given that Benedict was currently dithering outside the open door of a humanoid containment cell, and low risk or not, it was bad policy to just leave the door open like that. I just needed a moment to think, Benedict replied rather irritably. He was nervous. Truthfully, he struggled to deal with teenagers and teenage girls in particular. He knew the right thing to say on paper, the chemistry behind the way that their brains worked, but he just wasn't the most sensitive person. So there he was, trying to gather his thoughts. He just didn't want to mess this up. He looked down again at his notes in his blue binder. -C continues to demonstrate the symptoms consistent with majority depressive disorder. In particular, its behavior and mood are typically lethargic and characterized by frequent bouts of apathy during which it demonstrates indifference to all matters, including those that are important or appalling. Wait, no, it's appealing. Never mind. Appealing. Instances of self-harm and suicidal ideation have not reoccurred since October. Though progress has stagnated, no signs of imminent relapse has been noted. Its current prescription of 40 mg day Prozac fluoxetine remains adequate. On further improvement, on the 2018-12-14, DAC expressed interest in its diagnosis, and in particular the scientific backing behind the usage of fluoxetine appeared particularly interested in my explanation of selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. Given the stagnation of DAC's progress, any demonstration of positive interest is potentially a sign. But professional recommendations further encouragement of DAC's possible interest in psychology. Hey, I'm serious. Are you going in or not? The security guard leaned against the door for his best impression of a bored statue with a gun. He was clearly of the opinion that Benedict could gather his thoughts inside the room with the door shut. Sorry, said Benedict and bit the bullet. He stepped inside. Inside the room was very dark. Nothing was moving. It almost looked unoccupied except there was a large person-sized lump in the scratchy standard issue blanket. It was not moving. Hello, -C, he said. How are you today? The blanket lump stared and then shifted. It said. Ben interpreted this to mean that -C was the same as always, tired and bored. May I turn on the lights? Said the blanket lump again. He clicked on the light switch. The humanoid containment cell was minimally furnished and had been redecorated for safety rather than comfort. There wasn't a single sharp object inside, and a sleek black security camera blinked at him from the ceiling. The DAC's desk was cluttered with a pile of untouched items. Tubes of makeup, tabloid newspaper, and 6 months' worth of Teen Vogue back copies. Most of them were still in the original plastic wrapping. You didn't read the magazine that I brought you last time, Benedict said, unsurprised. I apologize. Did you not like them? That was their ritual. Benedict visited -C at Site 17 every 2 weeks like clockwork and brought her an entertainment item specifically catered to the known interests of the girl that -C had claimed to be. About being taken into Foundation custody. Stacey Lee had liked fashion, makeup, and Korean celebrities, but -C hadn't shown interest in a single one of those things. She hadn't even feigned interest to back up previous assertion of her identity as the original Stacey Lee. The blanket this is so sad. The blanket made a movement that was frankly difficult to interpret. It was probably a shrug. Unresponsiveness was fairly normal behavior for -C. He received similar reports from any number of the other researchers and therapists assigned to her case. That was why he had been so excited when one of the therapists had reported that she had actually shown interest in something. He had seen the security footage. On most days, -C did little else than lie in her bed, swallowed in her thin blanket. Sometimes they could see her counting the ceiling tiles. Most of the time she just lay there and slept, often forgetting to shower for days at a time. Every 3 days, a researcher came to supervise her with cutting her nails. If they didn't, she would scratch relentlessly at her scars until they bled. Usually it was long, thin scars down her thighs, but on the real bad days, she went for the thicker ones slashed across her wrists. The scars had healed badly there because she picked at her stitches. I brought you something again today, he said. Something different today. Will you at least have a look? He waited a long moment past and then another. My second girlfriend was somebody who cut herself, and it's very disheartening as a person to see that. It's just so sad to see that especially when someone you love doing that to himself, and it's like it's also just it ruins your mental health as well, because you're over here thinking like, I can't help, or you wish you can help, or you wish you can say that one magic sentence that just makes it all go away. The worst part though is my second girlfriend accused me a lot of times of being the reason why she cuts herself. And in her mind, that might be true, because she wanted me for all for herself. She didn't want me to have any friends, male, female. She wanted me to talk to anybody for a long period of time. Even if her friends talked to me, she would get angry at me for that. And then she would do that. She would cut herself, and then basically be like, "It's your fault. You did this." And it was very, very mentally painful to hear that and see that the one you love is not only doing that to herself, but then also is throwing all the blame on you, which was definitely a manipulation tactic to try to isolate me away from everybody that I care for. All my friends because I had to grow out of being a shy person. I was very shy from 4th to 7th grade. I had friends before that, but even then I kind of realized the friends were very much just thought I was the guy who had a lot of things. So I learned real fast. Not all of them, of course. I had legitimately 2 really good friends that didn't care about that shit. But a lot of the other friends I had were just like, "Oh yeah, he has a Game Boy, he has a GameCube, he has a Wii. Just hang out with him." And I realized I didn't even knew things about them that much, except that we played games. But yes, I had to grow out of being shy, and I would be a social mess. And I finally made friends, and then 4 years later, after I would say from 8th to 12th grade, that was my moment to grow and actually be sociable and making real friends that didn't care what my background was or anything. We just were, our friendship was genuine. And then my girlfriend then came along and was like, "Yeah, no, throw that all out the window, because if you don't, I'll cut myself." And I was just like, "That I can't." So that's what I'm saying. This is reminding me of that, but also it's just so sad because you as a empathetic human being, you wish there was something you could do, say, make happen, but at the end it's all internal. You can help, you can soften it, you can maybe show them a little bit of hope in life, but if they go for that, it's sadly up to them. Finally, the lump began to shift and squirm. A head emerged and then a torso, and soon Stacey Lee's familiar face looked back at him. The dark circles under her eyes looked like fresh bruises. Her cheeks were a little too hollow, and her hair was a mess. The other 309 would never have allowed that, but this wasn't the other 309. The difference between them stalled Benedict. Telling them apart was not particularly difficult anymore. Slowly, carefully, he reached into his bag and pulled out a book. It was not a slim magazine like the ones from his last story attempt. Instead, it was a battered textbook, thick and solidly bound. He set it down on the bed, Dash sees dark eyes tracking the steady movement, and stepped back a little. What is this? She said at last. Her voice was hoarse from disuse. "It's Ulrich Neisser, Cognitive Psychology," he said at last. "It's actually my old copy from when I was in university at Berkeley. I apologize for its condition. It's some years old and perhaps slightly out of date. However, I've written notes in the margins which I thought might be helpful." That silence filled the room. I apologize if this doesn't meet your interest," he said, talking again, anxious to fill the silence. "I just thought you might like something a little more relevant. I've been informed that you've taken some interest in your diagnosis." Darcy stared at the book, making no move to touch it. Benedict's heart sank. The report had said that Darcy had been interested, but perhaps it had been a fluke. She certainly didn't look very interested now. He had been hoping for a better reaction, but this was no different to Darcy's usual indifference. "Relevant to my mental disorders," she said, soft and bland. Benedict winced. "No, to your changing environment and..." I'm sorry, Daxie, I didn't mean to offend you. I'm not offended, said Daxie. It was difficult to tell if she meant it. He left the book there when his visits wrapped. It had been a gift after all, even if Daxie didn't want it. When he looked back over his shoulder, she had curled up her little lump under the blanket again. I'll see you again soon, he said on the way out, but Daxie did not reply. So, how's she doing? Daxie, I mean. Benedict looked up from the DVD player that he was fiddling with. 309 was looking at him with bright, curious eyes from the screen of his cell phone. That must be so... Like you said, the comparison of them two must be wild. Like, seeing her, like, looking normal, happy, like, well-kept, and, like, healthy, and then seeing the comparison of that to, like, the version that's just purely, utterly destroyed. It's just absolutely, just, that hurts. That hurts right here. Which had been plugged into the charge and propped up in preparation for their long video call. It was a lull between Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace, and they had just half-heartedly watched Bond's lover of the day kill herself via a dramatic elevator scene. He had brought his stack of paperwork with him, but it turned out that explosions and impressive stunts were really rather distracting. Still, he'd been asked to supervise 309's Bond movie marathon, so here he was. This technically counted as work too, after all. He was surprised that she had waited for so long to pounce. 309 had been asking questions about C nearly every day, and after that promise that he made, well, the truth was that Benedict was worried that 309's hope for some kind of reconciliation was going to turn out to be an unrealistic one. C's improvement was slow and fragile, but would she ever be ready for it? Fine, he said, trying not to let his own bitter disappointment show on his face. Unfortunately, he said in a tone that said decidedly that he did not, in fact, think that things were fine. 309 looked at him expectantly. She crossed her arms. He hesitated inside. I'm concerned that I made a mistake today. Perhaps I was mistaken about C's interest in psychology. Psychology, said 309. Really? I'm not interested in that. Well, apparently she isn't either, said Benedict, unable to keep a trace of bitterness from seeping into his voice. I had hoped that you would be. Her therapy suggests that it might be the case, but evidently that was incorrect. 309 went quiet. That's a shame, she said after a moment. Would have been nice if she happened. Benedict blinked. This was a surprisingly sensitive moment from the brash 309. You think so? Well, you think so too, don't you? It's important to, I don't know, find your passions and all that. That's what they used to tell us in school. And psychology would have been a really sensible choice. Relevant, Benedict repeated curiously. Yeah, I said that too earlier. 309 nodded fervently. Yeah, to like being in here in the Foundation. We don't know when or if we're going to leave. It would be nice to learn something useful for being here, right? So maybe eventually we could have something to do if we're going to be here anyway. Something to help out. It would be better than just sort of sitting around doing nothing, right? Which is what she's doing, and that's adds to the depression. She's just doing nothing all day. Which might be a shared trait of Stacey Lee. She is that type of girl that might just want to help people out. But you put somebody who wants to help out. It's the same with all the superhero SCPs that we got in Series 3. They all want to be like, hey, let us help out. We can help you guys out. Like, make the world a better place. And you're like, no, lock him up. And they all be like, what? And then you see how they get bitter, they get angry, they get frustrated. Like, what do you mean, no? I have these weird ass powers and you're not letting me be a help to humanity, or to you guys at least? That's probably what Stacey Lee is also thinking. She's like, I'm just stuck here. Yeah, to like being here in the Foundation, we don't know. So maybe eventually we could have something to do if we're going to. Yeah. He said, 319 looked away. I don't know if she feels that way, but I would if I was her. And you think that too, right? If you want her to be interested in psychology. An insightful comment. Sometimes he forgot that 309 was really rather perceptive. A people person, which was ironic given that he wasn't really a person at all, or at least not a human person. I guess I do agree, he said finally. I would like for her to feel a sense of purpose. I think that's the problem, the pointlessness of it all. Yep, a purpose, 309 nodded, and then gave a sharp grin edged with a kind of ironic mischief. And you feel that way about me having a purpose too, right? With my incredible future career as the world's first secret agent that actually is a social media account. Benedict's heart sunk, another problem and not one that had been mentally prepared to deal with. Damn these humanoid skips, there were always something to deal with them. Yeah, because, you know, unlike other skips that are all like very much like, it's hard, it's weird to say like this, but maybe not. But my comparison is SCPs that are not humans and SCPs that are humans is like how we compare humans to animals. You can say like an animal makes sense, right? They have the rules and it never changes unless the environment changes. Then they have to adapt. But humans have all these like different minds, mental, physical strengths and weaknesses, spiritual, psychological ups and downs. There's always something with humans. And that's probably going to be the case with humanoid SCPs as well. There's always something to add on top. While other SCPs are not human SCPs, probably are much more simpler because you're like, okay, that's all the rules that we have figured out so far. And maybe they eventually add a new one, but that might be years. Who knows? Of course, this conversation had been in the works for a long time too. 309 being a field agent, it's not like James Bond, you know, said Benedict, something over his words. It's not glamorous, it's dangerous, and you would have to do things that don't always sit well with you. You wouldn't want to do it, and they wouldn't let you anyway. Foundation policy is largely against attempting cooperation with enormous individuals. There's too much risk of wealth cooperation ceasing at an unfortunate time. There won't be a risk with me, said 309 in a low voice. There won't be a risk with me, said 309 in a low voice. You don't get it, Benedict. I wouldn't leave here even if I could. Not even now. Even though I know that I'm never going to have a body again, or maybe because of that. You wouldn't. Where would I go? She said, back to my family? What are they going to do with a Snapchat account for a daughter? And if not them, then who? 309, she cut him off. These calls are my whole world. Snapchat is for talking to people. When I'm talking to someone, I've got a shape, a face, a voice. When it stops, then there's nothing again, and I go back to being nothing again. Electricity crackling through the void, which reminds me of Monica. In Monica After Story, he does say like whenever you turn After Story off, it's just a void. She's just like in the darkness. Her voice went quiet. My parents are going to die someday, you know, and so are you. Who's going to talk to me then? Whoever the next Foundation researcher in charge of you is, said Benedict while dawning understanding. 309 nodded. It won't be the same. But it would be something, you understand? He did understand. So I wouldn't leave, said 309. There's no reason not to let me try to help. Maybe I'd even be useful for everyone here. Maybe Dashley would too. They had gotten off track. Benedict shook his head. This is irrelevant to the current topic. Dashley seemed uninterested in the academic study of psychology. I brought her a textbook. She seemed to have no interest in reading it. I have to try another avenue. She did? Said 309, curious. That's a pity. I would have read it if I was her. What are you going to do? I don't know, Benedict admitted. There was a long pause as 309 considered this. Well, I don't think you should give up on her yet. She said at last, we're pretty similar. So that means that she's probably more resilient than she looks. People in general tend to be, I think. Maybe bring different books. I'll do that, said Benedict. Thank you for the advice. It was actually very helpful. 309 beamed. It was? Well, you know what else people need other than to find their passion? What? Friends! So the reunion meeting has to happen, okay? Oh, fuck. This is gonna be tough. He looked down at the Quantum of Solace DVD forgotten in his hand and then shrugged and put it in. We'll see how it goes, 309. Pay attention this time, said 309. I'm going to be James Bond, but cuter, and you're going to be Q, so we have to learn properly, okay? So she's actually wants to watch James Bond to like train herself. That's so adorable. God, I love this SCP. Hey, Benedict, if you have troubles, you can learn with me through all these logs, and then she can be like, well, this is how I would do it. And I'm like, yep. And then we might maybe find an SCP that actually can solve her situation. She's like, and we both be like, what? 1 week later, when he went back to the containment cell where -C lived, Benedict Kim was armed with a bag packed full of high school level academic textbooks in mathematics, biology, physics, and chemistry. He was early. His appointments with her were actually usually spaced 2 weeks apart, but he wanted to show -C that he was willing to go the extra mile. He cared about the outcome of the appointments, maybe even a little beyond what his job required from him. The door stood open with her hiss. -C was sitting on the bed with her legs crossed. She was frowning at the familiar textbook. The blanket was wadded up in a ball at the front of the foot. -C, he said, surprised. She jumped and took out one earbud. Researcher Kim, you've read the textbook, he said, disbelief. There was a long pause in which they both struggled for words. The silence was broken by -C snapping the book shut. She stared at it, resting there in her lap, instead of making eye contact. To be honest, I'm no good at science, she said, stumbling over the words. They came out awkwardly shaped, but they were words. And Benedict's heart leapt into his throat. Stacey Lee had terrible marks. Of course, it would have been better if she hadn't dropped a complete non-sequitur, but Benedict had gotten better at rolling with the punches. 309 did it all the time after all. Benedict opened his mouth, closed it, and then opened it again. That doesn't mean that you couldn't improve with time and effort, he said very carefully. But nonetheless, you chose us awkwardly. He himself had been a prodigy. He had attended the UC Berkeley at age 16 and excelled. -C was not a prodigy, but she had plenty of time on her hands and very little else to live for. Another uncomfortable silence. You think this is going to fix me? Said -C, eventually tracing the book's title, and all of true confusion leaked into her voice. A textbook? You think is it supposed to be as easy as that? No, Benedict confessed. I don't really know how to fix you. I just thought that maybe you'd like it, that maybe it would help. It was perhaps not the most professional thing to say, but it was true. Benedict had racked his brain for what -C might enjoy if she didn't want to partake in any of Stacey Lee's former hobbies and had come up empty. He had been grateful for the therapist had suggested she might like something that he himself had enjoyed at an approximately similar age, which was studying. And 309 had been right. It was relevant. He didn't know if there was a brighter future at the foundation for -C. But if it was an idea, it was something to hope for. It was, at the end of the day, better than nothing. And if it doesn't, then we'll keep trying until we find something that does help. This is a little advanced, said -C after a moment. She lifted up the book and showed it to him. I'm like 15 and not whatever kind of super genius you were at 15. Maybe you could bring something a little more basic, like the rest of high school biology. Oh, said Benedict. He flushed. I actually have that with me, and also some other subjects. He emptied out his bag into his mat with a small waterfall of textbooks spilled out. Should I take back the psychology one? He reached for the book, but -C pulled. This is. Oh, I'm actually going to tear up. He reached for the book back, but -C pulled it back quick as a flash. No, I'll keep this, she said, her face going hard. I'm going to read it. Just bring me the other stuff too, alright? Okay, said Benedict in wonder. This was progress. He was actually making progress. This was the first... Dude, and this is the last fucking part! You can't know! I've all these good feelings inside me! This was the first request that -C had made in months after he had given up on the request to go home or see her family. Is there anything else you like? Yes, said the owner. Hey, maybe that's a mistake. It's supposed to be -C, but it's fine. Can I have a teacher? I'm sure that can be arranged, said Benedict, already considering how the Foundation might acquire a private biology tutor. Perhaps one of the interns. No, I mean, I want you to teach me. A long pause. What? -C's face fell, twisting with a strange mixture of embarrassment and disappointment. Well, you aren't supposed to be a specialist, and we already know each other, so it just makes sense for you to teach me. Do you not want to? You don't have to, but... No, said Benedict quickly. No, I want to. It's been a while since I went over the basics, and I'm not sure if I do a good job. Then we'll both read up on it, said -C, what looked almost like it could be a ghost of a smile flickered across her face, too quickly to even react to. Then just as quickly, it was gone again, and she looked back down at her book awkwardly. It was clear the end of the conversation. Okay, said Benedict. It had already been established that he had a particularly difficult time dealing with teenage girls. If there was one thing that he had learned from the other 309, it was that sometimes it was pointless to argue. I'll broach this with my supervisor, and I'll come back soon. He was silent. Benedict turned to leave, and then... well, also, I need new glasses, said Darcy. Benedict paused. Don't you have all those contact lenses? They kind of dry out my eyeballs, so I don't like reading with them, and I'm pretty sure that my vision's gone worse again. Okay, said Benedict, is there anything else? He waited. There was a long pause in which Darcy squirmed in a manner that indicated that there was definitely something else. Stacey Lee was not good at science, she said very quietly and uncertainly, like she was not entirely expecting an answer. But do you think that I could be? Benedict's throat was strangely tight. Yes, Darcy, I think you could be very good at science if you try hard enough. And you help me? Yes. Yes, I'll help you. Fucking A, bro! This is... Wow! Well, you know what I now have in my head? Have the app-c be an agent, and then have app-c, have the app 309 be an agent, and have -c be a researcher. That would fucking... And then now we just gotta get them to be friends. If we can just get them... I don't want the next one to be immediately, and then they became friends. Don't do that. Make it, if you have to make it like 3 more parts, because I want this to, now I want this to work. If you, hey, who wrote this? Who wrote this, huh? History. It's the same person that, I believe it's the same person who wrote the original SCP. Yo, if you see this, please, I beg of you. I need more. I need more. I will read it. I'll read it immediately when it comes out, dude. I don't even care if it's a subscriber special or not. I'll just be like, alright, listen, guys. No subscriber special this fucking Thursday. I'm just invested. Okay, this was awesome. Now I gotta go downstairs and be with the guests, and then I have to read 21,000 words in the upcoming stream today. I'm not sure if my voice can handle all this. This was long. Okay. See you in the next SCP, guys.